Hello, everyone. Welcome to the continuation of the Style Esports Season 16 playoffs. Tonight's elimination match hails from the Targon Division. 8th and lowest seed, No Quarter Gaming, look to take on the number 4 seed, Poisonous Panthers, in a best of 3 that will send one team into the next round of the knockout stage and the other out of the tournament. On the mic once again this evening, my name, as always, is Crewman44. This time I am joined by the amazing Abba Trombone. How's your Friday night so far, Abba?
It's been pretty great. We're looking at a long weekend here, and of course, an exciting match-up. No Quarter Gaming and Poisonous Panthers. I've had the pleasure of watching Poisonous Panthers before, and they seem to do pretty well. We'll have to see if they're going to be performing just as well. I look forward to seeing No Quarter Gaming as well, as we're getting ready for the lock-in in these drafts. Do you have any prediction, Crewman, for what they might be picking right now, or what future compositions with this new patch?
Well, I've got a couple of sort of vague notions. There are some champions that have sort of been evergreen for a while now, for the last several patches. Things like the Kaisa, the Rel, the Tristana. These picks are all still extraordinarily powerful. But there is also some other picks, some more specialized picks that I am keeping my eyes out for tonight. For one, on the side of the Poisonous Panthers, the jungler and team captain Clay, a little bit of an Udyr main, 35 games this season, 63% win rate on the Homeless Man. So keep an eye out for that pick for sure. We also did see some Vi changes on this patch. Vi did come out, of course, for anybody who was here a couple of nights ago, in that other best of 3 that we had recently. Vi did come out. Did not find victory in that game, did the Vi, and in the hands of HSG Pink, unfortunately for them. But she is, I think, in a little bit of a better position now than she was previously. How about you, Eb? Is there anything you're in particular looking out for tonight?
I mean, Vi's a pretty good staple with the amount of lockdown that you can get as well, and anything that can follow up with it. Of course, with like some of the lethality item changes, I'm going to guess maybe a little less of that right now. Being nice and sustainable, trying to fight things up. We'll have to see if we get an Aatrox game or not.
Oh, yeah. Aatrox, another pick that's still very strong as well. They tried to nerf him on this patch, of course, but I don't know really if those nerfs are going to be all that impactful.
Yeah. It's really hard to say with some of these impacts because different levels of play get impacted differently.
Also true.
The series. Yeah. So
yeah,
it could be weak in Challenger, but great in this setting here. Starting off with a Zoe ban, something I haven't seen for a while.
Zoe was adjusted on this patch as well. I believe they were Zoe buffs where you get more magic shred from the E or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but that is another pick that was adjusted here on 13-17.
Yeah, the sleep is quite brutal. It creates a lot of space for your team, and the crowd control pretty powerful as well. And we're just seeing all of these like CC champions come out. Ashe with her Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Cataclysm from Jarvan, and Encore from Seraphine as well. And then, of course, Maokai too. Oh, my goodness. We're just saying, you know what? We're not going to say no to movement here. And then they go with the Rel. It's going to be a CC game. Now, here's the big question. Because of all of these bans, are we going to see a Morgana as well to maybe double down on this no CC gaming, use the Black Shield, help create some space for their team, as well as enabling some catch potential?
Could be fun, yeah. I do feel like Morgana as a pick, just in general, is probably a little bit underutilized. I feel like she's probably better in a greater number of situations than people generally give her credit for. But regardless, I don't know if the Morgana lock-in is necessarily going to come this early on in the draft. It will be the Alistar for now that comes out for No Quarter Gaming in response to the Rel. They're going to go ahead and lock away that Rek'Sai for themselves as well. A bit of an aggressive jungle option for DMFK here in Game number 1.
Yeah, Alistar being able to push back Rel when she jumps on. Her movement speed isn't going to enable her to re-engage at all. And both the supports should be pretty tanky if Alistar goes for the support role. I am doubtful they go elsewhere with how everything's been shaping up throughout the patches. It's interesting to see how Panthers is going to respond. And the Homeless Band is a potential option here.
Yeah, we do like ourselves the Udyr here for Clay. Ooh, not quite going to be the option just yet. The Draven is going to be
Draven.
taken away. This is a little bit of a Muzra specialty. So this is kind of the Panthers picking away that AD carry, actually denying that from the No Quarter Gaming ADC, and is, I think, pretty strong synergy with the Rel as well. And they will also get the Udyr for Clay.
Draven loves a good kill lane. Even if he is an enchanter, it becomes a kill lane just because of how much he warps the matchup. We'll have to see how early Draven's going to be able to get some of these kills. Alistar can kind of get people away into safety by moving you. Once he gets to level 6, though, he's going to be a lot more tanky. So unless they're able to pop that AD carry pretty fast, Draven might not be able to get as much from his ego stacks as he would like.
Yeah, certainly we will have to wait and see. He does already have quite a bit of frontline to work with, right? Does the Draven, the Veigar going to be coming out here for No Quarter Gaming? So is a little bit of a flex pick, honestly. Can go either mid or bot. And that is going to be some mind games potentially that the Panthers are going to have to work around.
And it's such good synergy. Like, you think about the cage, well, you can walk around it. Well, you can be headbutted into this as well.
Yeah.
There's potential for like a Vayne to be locked in here as well.
True.
Which can be brutal in its own right.
Or the Tristana, even still open as well. Has the Buster shot. Have a similar sort of effect there.
Yeah, Misfortune got banned recently, but that still would have been pretty good if you get locked into any of those cages. That's pretty potent as well. It really looks like both teams are trying to get some semblance of a pick. Alistar, Rek'Sai, Veigar are all pretty good at that. Udyr can speed up, get you with like a Rel Draven combination right here to get some picks and get some nice scaling to these games. Though it does look like No Quarter Gaming has a favorable late game so far. Still have several champions to pick, but we'll have to see if Panthers is going to go for more of a mid-game strategy or if they're going to challenge No Quarter Gaming into something later that might also scale.
Well, an interesting choice for No Quarter Gaming here, electing to blind their top laner, and they're going to hold on to that Veigar flex until the R5. This will give the opportunity over to Pimp Squid, top laner for Panthers, to counterpick into that Ornn. See
Camille's
what
open.
They are going to go with.
Camille is open. It's not a great matchup, and I believe Poison Panthers plays Camille here as well.
It's been a little bit since I've seen them play. Stats for Pimp Squid.
I've seen early Ornns picked before, and it usually does not go well for that team. So I'm anxious to see if No Quarter Gaming is gonna give me the exception to the rule here.
Yeah, there's an opportunity here. I didn't see any Camille in the OP.GG for Pimp Squid, but that's certainly not to say that they can't bring it out. Maybe OP.GG is not always the most reliable of sources. So, and certainly I think we are looking for something else with some additional engage angles here for the Panthers on D5.
Yeah, because Xerath is pretty clearly into the mid lane here, and Udyr is going to be your jungler. It's very doubtful they're going to go top or something. So, Rel, Draven to the bot side. What would you want into Ornn? There's several counter matchups here. Trundle could be pretty interesting to steal Alistar stats or Ornn for the duel. Olaf is going to make things pretty miserable and would stop Veigar's cage here as well. So
I feel like the Olaf is not as hard of a counter pick into the Ornn as maybe some other options that they could have looked towards. But I do think that the Olaf is a very strong pick into No Quarters Gaming's composition as a whole. Being able to immune pretty much everything that Alistar wants to do, immune the Veigar cage like you just mentioned a moment ago. I think it's a pretty strong pick here for the Panthers.
Axe Gaming here, Draven Olaf.
True. You got the Axe synergy as well. And then the Swain will come out on R5 for No Quarter Gaming. So honestly, still a little bit of a flex there. We still don't really know if the Swain or the Veigar are going bot or mid or vice versa. So we are just going to have to wait and see. And Panthers, of course, still going to be a little bit kept in the dark as well.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting matchups. Of course, No Quarter Gaming does favor the late game with Veigar and Ornn. That's pretty much a given. But the early game is fairly uncontested, you could argue, with the Panthers having Draven and Olaf, who are going to be pretty strong early on as well.
There is a Rek'Sai here who is, known to some as the queen of the early game. So there is at least that tool that will be available for No Quarter Gaming. But I certainly do think that the Panthers do have a little bit of that early game advantage.
Yeah, and the difficult thing for them is if Olaf goes top and Draven to the bot side, that early game advantage is on both ends of the map, and Rek'Sai can only potentially shut one down, versus if one was like in mid, they can rotate fluidly between the two lanes to try and stop something or create some pressure where both lanes might not be able to be as aggressive as they want, just because of the vision difference. But on the other side of the map, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. The other thing that I think is worth talking about here has how each team tries to control its space.
Sharpening my feathers.
Right, like we have Vygar's cage. Ornn, once he hits level 6, Swain's going to want to keep people in a tight area, just like Vygar and Ornn are going to be able to do, and Alistar's going to be able to knock you back into those big effects for No Quarter Gaming, making some pretty strong synergies for them. But they won't have an AD carry, which means a lot of AP damage is going to be happening. So if they don't get that lead to get that that damage through Vygar or Rek'Sai as well with some of her AD damage, Panthers are just going to have to find a way to get through. Olaf is a good answer here, and Xerath and Rel can certainly make some of that space for them, but only so much.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to come down to seeing what Panthers can do with an early game lead if they do manage to find one for themselves, because the scaling, as you were just mentioning on the side of No Quarter Gaming, will certainly eventually become a significant threat to what the Panthers are going to be trying to do. So seeing if they can get that convincing early game lead, and 2, if they can play things out cleanly from that position, I think is going to be some really important questions that we will have to get answered in this game.
Yeah, it's probably going to be best if Olaf gets this, just because of how tanky everyone is. I guess the extra gold and Draven also isn't going to hurt, right? But he's going to need like Lord Dominic's Regard or something, because Alistar, Ornn, Swain are all going to be pretty tanky, and Vygar builds some items that has a decent amount of HP here as well. So his runes are probably also going to reflect that. Not going to go with like a coup de grace. Is going to have to go with the tank shredding one, which I can't think off the top of my head. Cut down. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. The one I need to take more often as an AD carry.
Right, of course. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be able to check, unfortunately, if Jonesy Jukes remembers to opt in for the cut down this time around. Is there a way to check that?
There's probably a way to do it in post, at least. I don't know if mid-game spectator client isn't, on Riot's top of the list. It's making random changes to the game or not.
Yeah, that's not something that they really enjoy doing very much, it seems. But regardless, we will see how effective the Draven can be, regardless of rune choice. Is a very aggressive option, right? And the Panthers did go for it quite early on in the draft. So a reasonable number of draft bucks invested into this bottom lane. And another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, actually, Abba, is the fact that we do have Jonesy Jukes in that AD carry position tonight for the Panthers. I was looking back at their match history, and in their most recent couple of matches, they had Luca Loco playing ADC down there in the bot lane. Unfortunately for the Panthers, obviously the last couple of matches were not wins. Their last match of the regular season was 12 days ago. It was a 1-2 loss to Coco Melon Gaming, who are in the division just above them, above Ionia, or just above Targon, rather, which is the Ionian division. But Luca Loco in that game was 13-5-8 on Zeri in the one game that they did manage to win in that match. So while it didn't eventuate in a victory for the Poisonous Panthers, I do still think that Jonesy Jukes is going to have some shoes to fill this evening.
That's certainly the case here. It also could just be a style adaptation. Maybe they feel like the aggressive answer is going to be what they need for No Quarter Gaming. Zeri build very different than how Draven operates and how you play in that laning phase as well.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think overall, though, Abbott Trombone? We've discussed the drafts a fair amount. I think there are some reasonably good angles on both sides here. You're pretty creative from No Quarter Gaming to go with the double AP carry threats, so the Swain and the Vhagar. But they are maybe a little bit lacking in those early game options, and they are coming in as the underdogs against the number 4 seed, the Panthers, here on blue side. Who do you think is going to take this first game here, Abba?
I think it's going to be the Panthers, just because the early game favors them, as well as No Quarter Gaming's pretty heavy on the magic damage, so it's going to be a lot easier for Rel, Udyr, and Olaf to build some of those resistances.
All right. Well, we shall see. No quarter gaming are coming off a tough 0-2 loss to the first seed Paradox Clorox in the first round of the Rumble stage, but it was a very tough opponent, right? And those games, honestly, looking back, were probably a lot closer than you might expect. So, no quarter gaming might have something to show us tonight, but not if the Panthers have anything to say about it. Don't go anywhere, guys. The Style Esports Season 16 playoffs continue right after this short break. All right, everybody, welcome onto the Rift for our first game of the night. We have got the Poisonous Panthers on the blue side, No Quarter Gaming on the red. That does, of course, mean that the team abbreviations at the top of your screen are wrong. How about if you could walk us through some abbreviations while I try to fix that? Or some runes and summoner spells, rather. Sorry.
Yeah, 4-5 teleports. My apologies for this. This means any trade to end up favoring Draven or Jokesy Jukes here means it's going to be less punished. Well, teleports up because they can refill their HP a little bit easier here. In the mid lane, first strike, if they're able to space things out for short trades versus these long fights versus Pro Tide, could help them get a little bit more early gold and get them to their power spikes as well. And of course, top side, just the ghost TP, just being able to run and get people super fast is going to be pretty important to these fights as well. And the last thing is the early ward on that Raptors for Poisonous Panther, who is of course on the blue side, could help show what the clear speed is and could set up an early invade, but I don't think that's going to be the case. But just knowing where the jungler is going to help the top and bot sides know when they can be aggressive and go for those plays with their early level spikes.
Yeah, it looks like they even got the Poisonous Panthers even got a ward onto the enemy blue buff as well. So some early vision on both sides of the jungle for the Panthers. Really going to be very thoroughly tracking that Rek'Sai early on, which is could hinder, a lot of what she wants to do. Is very, very strong in that early game. A big part of Rek'Sai's game plan is finding some creative angles for those really early ganks. But if those opportunities don't present themselves, rather than the Rek'Sai does lose quite a bit of power, I think.
Yeah, and look at this. So Udyr has a slight advantage with the clear speed, but we're also seeing another ward come out of Pimp Squid on Krugs. Their game plan is to know exactly where the enemy early lead is so that their early lead can be utilized here. Now, of course, Jukes is pushing in fairly strong towards the bot side, so it's going to be hard for their engage support to go in. This could not be great for them.
Ooh, there's that cage headbutt combo that we were teasing a little bit in the champion select, but it's really not too threatening just yet. So Veigar doesn't really do any damage yet. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait a little while before that really becomes more of a factor.
For sure. It does put things in a little bit of an awkward spot with Jukes here because Rel, of course, wants to jump in, but the tower's super close, and of course, a Fortress Door is going to be able to keep people safe, which means this roam is the perfect time here should the enemy, Pro Tide, for the Poisonous Panthers, push, because then they can sit there, go for a punish, or they can just hover for the Scuttle Crab as well. That's an excellent roam.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to see Udyr secure that first crab. Moving over actually into the top side river now as well is Clay to contest Rek'Sai on this other crab. Thanks to all of that early vision, the Udyr knows exactly the position of that enemy jungler and will be able to secure the double Scuttle Crab. So a fantastic start for the Udyr here. Remember, this is a big comfort pick for Clay and having a really nice run of this early game so far.
Yeah, up 8 CS right now. Of course, the back going to DMFK is going to help them get a little bit more early damage here as well. But they're going to be down 2 Scuttle Crabs, which is kind of nice to have early on.
Yeah. That's something else that we should kind of consider, I think, is the fact that, remember, the Rel was the first pick. The Rel was the B1 option for the Poisonous Panthers. The Alistar, of course, coming out in response for No Quarter Gaming. But the Poisonous Panthers did have an option at that point in the draft to flex the Rel into the jungle, right? And draft something else for the bot lane that would have been a better matchup into the Alistar. But they said, no, our jungler is an Udyr player, and we're going to pick him Udyr. So that's what they did. And now it's kind of on Clay to get a lot of value out of that pick, considering the fact that they kind of sacked their bot matchup for it.
Yeah, speaking of the jungle, because the spectator client is a little bit bugged, it's Hex Tech Drake right now for anyone who's wondering what Drake's coming up. It's probably going to be a little bit longer before that happens. Pimp Squid's in a little bit of danger here. Along with this,
just Hex flashed into the mid lane. Dodge is going to be able to sidestep on the Never Move. He even gets out a little bit of return damage there with the Arcano Pulse onto Pro Tide. And the early move from the Alistar, unfortunately, doesn't find too much success. Does get the flash, though, off of the Zera.
That's a pretty big success on an immobile artillery mage, in my
fair enough.
opinion. But no kill yet. You know, we're almost 6 minutes into the game. Nothing has happened. We just saw that back. And no gank quite yet. Smelling trouble. Getting
DMFK was thinking about it there, but the Zera didn't quite push too far forward.
It did force that TP, though. Oh, just barely missing the recall deny.
Oh, DMFK going to face check the Udyr now, and Oriolor is here for the follow-up CC. DMFK now flashing away, trying to stay alive. Oriolor with the follow-up. We'll get the first blood for the Panthers. But now Clay in trouble, has to run away from this very scary demon man. Sidestep on the never move will get the Udyr out to safety, and the cage will not lock anybody down. Poisonous Panthers on the board, 1-0.
This is fantastic news for Poisonous Panthers, giving them 1,000 gold lead 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, which is pretty substantial. Part of this is due to the CS leads that they have in the jungle, mid, and for the bot, who has Ko, by the way. They're halfway through that at 150 adoration stacks, which means if they're able to cash in a kill, it's going to be a major power spike with their Sheen.
Here comes Clay. Sorry to interrupt you there, Abba. We're looking for a 2v1 play in the top lane. Piggy gonna flash away, calling on the Forge God, gets the double knock up, trying to trade back onto the top laner, and Pimp Squid will go down. Now Clay's only level 5. Does the Udyr have enough damage? The Bells comes out, and Piggy AI in the 1v2 finds the double kill for no quarter.
We're not done yet.
We're not done yet. Bottom lane, the cage comes down, the lockup is there, and the Rel is gonna get taken down in addition, just like that, Abba. It's 3-1 now. The underdogs are coming in strong.
Yeah, grass plus those brittle procs was so important for the top side to get Pimp Squid. And of course, Clay was also low themselves, which just meant it wasn't going to turn out well for them. And with the items that we're seeing, Baumies and now Thorn armor, so it's going to be just a little bit easier to get some wave clear and survive there. And of course, getting that pick up onto the bot side also is going to help get the early game queen DMFK ready for them. Of course, no adoration stacks were lost on Jonesy Jukes. They were still alive, so they still have over 150 right now. But pressure's there to perform. They're going to be strongest in the early game, and if they can't utilize that early game to its full effect, that's not going to be good news for them. But we're seeing a Rift Herald right now, and we're seeing a lot of level 6 power spikes.
We are indeed out of the death chamber for the top jungle of the Poisonous Panthers and on to this top side objective. They can't kill Lorne, but they certainly can finish off Shelly here. Will be Clay able to secure that one?
And here's the really insane thing here. We had 1 kill to 0, and they were up about 1,000 gold, and they're still up about 400 gold with a 2-kill deficit now, 1-3 favoring Poisonous Panthers, but the gold lead is favoring Poisonous Panthers, not the quarter.
In large part due to this bot lane CS differential. It's 75-45 right now. Draven over the Veigar. That has translated to it's only a 300 gold difference really between those two AD carries. But, you know, that is the bulk of the gold lead, or the gold difference between the two teams.
That is overall a kill straight up.
Yeah.
And of course, once the kill's finished, it's going to help too.
Or if he gets a cash in as well, right? I mean, that's going to really quickly snowball that matchup potentially completely out of control in Draven's favor. So really tense right now in that bot lane.
Dragon fight could come up. Hextech Dragon. It's pretty nice. We're almost 10 minutes in the game. People have had a lot of backs. People can wave clear. Try and get some vision set up now for this objective. And it looks like we're seeing that into the mid lane. And we're seeing all these control wards come down.
Yeah. River control currently held by No Quarter Gaming. Alistar making sure that as Fortress Door roams back and forth through the river. But Rel is here to contest, actually. We're watching the top lane right now for some reason. But we are fighting for vision in the bot side river.
DMFK is into the top side. So right now with the bot priority, could be an opportunity to take the dragon, should they desire. But there are other things on the map. And they also have a Rift Herald to try and create some pressure as well. But it looks like it's going to be a solo dragon right now with the drag out.
Okay. A little bit of a kerfuffle right now in the top lane. The Ragnarok has been utilized, and now Pimp Squid, no ultimate, no flash, didn't take it. from the draft phase. Just going to get absolutely murdered there. Number 3, actually, for the Ornn. Piggy AI is going to be very, very comfy in that top lane. Yeah. The Dragon will go over. So this is both of the early neutrals for the Poisonous Panthers.
Man, Pimp Squid really had some tunnel vision there, just trying to pressure things up from the top side. Their jungler wasn't there at all. Just an overextension. It was a great punish here. And Piggy
the rights
AI.
of the Arcane, Protide. How fancy are your feet? Not fancy enough. The last shot coming out from Daj there picks up the kill. Xerath picks up his first. Couple of Dark Seal stacks for that one as well.
Yeah, that is going to be quite nice. Having that last chapter this early also is a major spike, being able to clear those waves. My goodness, Jonesy Jukes almost died there, having to flash. They still have cleanse if they get caught out, but...
can't cleanse a pulverize, unfortunately, so it was a necessary flash to get away from that very scary Minotaur.
Cage,
that's true, yeah.
Oh my goodness, Pimp Squid is kind of getting camped here as well. They got to use this Rift Herald here, Poisonous Panthers, as well. It's been a little bit. They cleared, what, this at...
Oh, Pimp Squid, no ultimate just yet. Gonna get knocked up by the Searing Charge and the Rek'Sai for the follow-up. In comes the Forge God once again. Pimp Squid desperately trying to trade back, but will not be successful. It is Piggy AI now with the blind pick Ornn on a rampage in that top lane.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we see it. It's just camping up. They're able to get a lot of those successful picks because of how the early game was played out for them. Pimp Squid's also low on CS. They don't have a completed item versus Pig AI, of course, does here. But the trade into the mid side for Poisonous Panthers, we see the Luden's Echo already. Great for them. Plus the Crash getting down to 2 turret plates. Mid being pretty important. But top side, for no quarter, has been able to get almost 3 turret plates there as well in return.
Yeah, absolutely. But even with such a huge lead for Piggy AI in that top lane matchup, you know, your gold is on an Ornn. You know, he is often referred to as an assassin or a mage, and he is both of those things. But mostly, Abba, he is a tank. And tanks can sometimes struggle to convert gold leads into Nexuses exploding, so we'll have to see.
The gold's even 2-5, but all of the gold is on Ornn here. 5.3k, and the next highest is going to be 4.5.
Oh dear, Pimp Squid has the Ragnarok this time at least, so should be able to avoid dying here theoretically. But no, the Rek'Sai is just going to go into the burrow. He's going to find another kill.
He chose to fight that out. Which, it made no sense. You pop Ragnarok, you're like, all right, nothing can touch me now. I walk to my tower, and then
you just pop Ragnarok and run.
Yeah, because if they challenge you, it's basically a 2v1 with you having your tower as your second ally. That just wasn't the case.
And, like, even if like the Olaf was in a position, like the lane was already over, like before that even happened, right? The Olaf's not going to be able to threaten the Ornn whatsoever in that 1v1. But then, like, even if that wasn't the case, like, you still don't want to just, like, stand and fight and let the Rek'Sai get their damage off for free.
Yeah, and the other weird thing is it forced Right of the Arcane to be used to clear the waves so that Piggy AI didn't get the first tower, which has also enabled this invade here for the blue buff for DMFK, who now has the CS lead, and we saw a pretty substantial one favoring Clay. And it's no longer the case.
Yeah, we are on to the second Rift Herald now. Surely under fire from No Quarter Gaming, looking to secure their first neutral of the game. We're going to have our second Dragon in about a minute's time as well. Olaf is in the area, but Udyr wants no part of this. It's going to be Clay just rotating back down towards that bottom side of the map.
Here's
first
something...
brick in the mid lane. So we did secure the Rift Herald, but we ended up giving over a decent amount of gold over to this Xerath.
Yeah,
so
no first
needing
tower
to get some high Herald value to make that worthwhile.
Yeah, dead even in the gold still, despite the kill advantage favoring...
Aurelio are going to go in the Magnet Storm.
Oh my god!
Down. Yeah, that's the one shot.
Gold.
Fortress Door just didn't even get a chance to utilize the Alistar ultimate there. Just CC'd. 100 to 0. Draven, couple of axes was all that was needed in that instance.
350 adoration stacks getting cashed in, which I saw
wow.
at like 980 gold or something, which is basically a shutdown for someone who's unkillable.
Yeah, which that differential between the bot lane carries now is just shy of 2K. So pretty significant now. But we will be losing the top tier 1 here. Pimp Squid will wisely back away from this one, will not try to defend. Surely still in tow for DMFK.
Yeah, they also haven't cashed in their call quite yet. I mean, they have the 100 CS, but haven't sold it for a larger advantage.
Oh no. We may be a little bit overextended right now for Aurelior. Does have the flash to try and get out of this cage. Actually, just trying to bait them in, perhaps. Buying some time. The turret is still alive, so this might be a little bit hairy. And the teleport coming in now from this super fed Ornn. The call of the Forge is going to come through. Aurelior barely going to survive somehow on this round. But Piggy AI flashing over the wall. Finds the double knock-up. Clay cannot escape from the cage. And it's going to be no quarter. Gaming pulling ahead here in this first game. They are too late to get the dragon. That second dragon did go over to the Panthers, but the gold, how is the gold still even at?
It wasn't even. It was 1.6k ahead until that fight happened. They tried to get early pressure into that tower, and they got stuck between a rock and a hard place. In this case, Ornn just able to smash you, make you super brittle and crack you open like an egg.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice teleport from Piggy AI to get down there to punish. We'll even be able to make it back up here to the top lane to defend the tier 1 as well. And now Pimp Squid is between the turrets, and he's not making it home except in the body bag. Why would you even utilize the ghost there? There's no way you're ever making it out of that situation.
Yeah. The good news is he pulled 3 people. That's the good news. Or the cleanse.
Pretty clean cleanse from Jonesy. We'll be able to find another kill for himself. The Draven now already on 2 items. Gonna get a little bit more there.
Yep, Trinity to help get through some of these tanks. And, of course, we need more gold on our Fed AD carry here. So that Collector just trying to get a little bit more.
Draven's going to have to get through the very, very tanky Ornn up there. We need more kills for this Draven stat for Panthers fans.
You know, BSN RN
is going to get caught out in the jungle a little bit here. Can the Rek'Sai get over the wall? Does not have flash. Utilizing the ultimate to try and buy a little bit of time, but the shutdown will come through for Clay. Udyr now getting paid. Clay's first of the game. And that was really cheeky from the Panthers, just camping out in the enemy wolf pit like that. DMFK never saw it coming.
Yeah, and the right there, just be able to secure things if things went haywire as well with all the CC. Very well played. It looks like their extension paid off this time, but of course has come back to haunt them as well. They've recuperated their gold lead here as well, even though they're down kills. They're up about 2,700 gold right now, which is a pretty substantial lead, but not enough to, guarantee a game to be closed. That being said, they still have the objective advantage.
What a strange game, honestly, Abo. The gold is so disparate between these two teams. It's absolutely ridiculous advantages in mid and bot for the Poisonous Panthers, but No Quarter Gaming in the top lane are up like 3K on Ornn. It's just a weird game.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but this really feels like a solo queue game for me. Like top just randomly overextending in the with having an advantage, and the tank randomly has extra gold and XP over their top laner.
We started so slow though, Abba. Remember, it was like the first 8 minutes or so. There was nothing.
Weird. Of course, we're in the mid game now because 14 minutes have passed. Towers are down, etc., etc. And things are just getting better and better.
Right to the arcane, Muzra. Oh, Muzra, we need to sidestep this last one. We'll flash. Oh, there was one more. Oh, Xerath buffs. There it is. Dash picking up his second flash, and the mastery there as well. Stacking up the Magi's. Piggy has to be careful. Piggy, you are the heart and soul of No Quarter Gaming right now. You can't die here like this. He's going to miss the Ornn Horn and is going to get locked down by the Magnet Storm. As the gold is going to go over to the worst possible member, the shutdown. The huge, huge shutdown straight into Jonesy Juice's very deep pockets. And this is going to be the T1 Baron for the Poisonous Panthers. They're just burning it down. It's already down to about 50%. DMFK is going to have the flash back up off cooldown. Rek'Sai moving over to try and contest this one. Xerath from the brush is going to get a big old chunk onto the enemy jungler. Teleport coming in now from Pim Squid. The Olaf, I don't know if it's really going to be able to offer much here. And Clay has actually been burned down by Protide. Swain in the thick of things, and Pim Squid can't get anything done. Just gets burst down on the other side of the fight. The Olaf way too far behind Fortress Door now in a 1v1 with the Draven. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
The TP,
but
though.
the Alistar's not winning this one out. Double kill over to Dodge on the Xerath. Piggy AI teleporting back into the play after going down earlier on. Jonesy Jukes picks up a kill onto Protide before finally getting cut down by DMFK. Messy, messy fight here in the top side river. 3 for 3 as the dust settles.
It looked so good for Poisonous Panthers there. They got a pick. It was, of course, a tank, but a numbers advantage is a numbers advantage, especially if that tank has a lot of their team's gold. And they were able to get a big chunk out of DMFK.
What went wrong, though?
If Pimp Squid wasn't as far behind being 0-5
We're going to get back to that in just a moment, Abbas. We have just 2-man blast toned into the Dragon Pit. It is not going to be enough to secure the objective. Call of the Forge is going to come out once again from the Ornn, knock up only onto the Udyr, and Piggy may be sacrificed. No, won't actually need to be sacrificed whatsoever. Tanky enough just to walk out of that one. And No Quarter Gaming able to stop that soul stacking after denying the Baron earlier on. They still have quite a bit of fight left in them, it seems.
Here's the insane part here, Crewman. They're down 5,000 gold. After both of those fights when it looked really good for them, right? You're like, oh man, they must have like a crazy leader or something able to push back like this. No, it was just Baron buff plus manpower here, negating the gold advantage, and of course a well-placed smite by DMFK just to secure that dragon and slow down Soul Point and the Soul for Poisonous Panthers.
Yeah, I guess that is a good call-out. Baron, maybe the sixth man for the side of No Quarter Gaming in that previous scuffle around the top side river, kind of softening up those health bars, particularly the Udyr, of course, so I believe was the first casualty.
The resistances from Baron's gaze is the big part. That mitigates so many XP advantages and gold advantages that you have. So they're just easier to kill.
Especially for a team composition like what No Quarter Gaming have, right? That relies so much on burst, on getting these sort of really fast kills from like the Rek'Sai and the Veigar just being able to pop people. Oh, Rites of the Arcane coming out once again.
Fancy feet.
Be able to finish anybody off with that one. Ooh, Whirling Death as well, but Alistar able to get away from the axes. Oh, Piggy off on the side here. Gonna find a knock up on it too as Veigar died from the Xerath. From long range, it's going to be Dodge who makes it happen, and now it's not No Quarter Gaming desperately trying to retreat underneath their turret, but they will not be able to do so. The retreat is unsuccessful, and it's a double kill once again over to the Jukes of Jonesy. And they're going to keep on pushing now for the side of the Poisonous Panthers after a big team fight win in the mid lane. They're going to be able to take full control of game number 1.
Yeah, opening up this inhibitor is going to enable a lot of their team. Of course, with Draven not being there, Jukes isn't going to be able to do as much damage to this Baron until they show up, which is going to delay it. Pimp Squid also not looking super healthy. Only has 1 item right now, so it's quite behind.
Want you to die to the Baron here, Pimp Squid. Be careful now. Udyr and Draven probably got this one. Rek'Sai is alive, but thankfully we are aware that DMFK is not close to the objective this time around. Clay will be able to get that one with the smite. And we do now have a very, very significant gold lead for the Panthers.
Yep, and they were able to resist hitting the ward because once you hit it, you get to see a little bit of vision there. So the control ward was able to deny the appropriate vision to get that Baron as well. So DMFK couldn't go in for a cheeky kill to at least stop Pimp Squid from getting Baron buff with a pre-kill. That being said, 3 items right now onto Jonesy Jukes. Lord Dominic's Regard, not one of them. Maw is going to help some of this burst potential as well. A Trinity is going to help. And of course, some of the runes will also help with this. And just being up in gold is pretty great. 25 stacks onto BSN RN right now onto that Magi's with, oh my gosh, Luden's Echo on top of Shadow Flame is going to help just chew through champions as well.
Xerath has a lot of burst with this build. I mean, that's what we just saw happen to Muzzra in that previous fight, right? The Veigar probably not even realizing that he was in lethal range, but just took 1 Q when you're somewhat low HP, and the Veigar just went pop. So, yeah,
So
really scary Xerath build for sure. You were saying?
they need to delay this game as much as they can, just wave clear and stay safe. They're down 10k gold. And this is a strange scenario where it's actually worth buying a Magi's if you can when you're behind this much.
Oh, whoa! Fortress Door looking for this one, but Jonesy jukes with a fast flash. Able to get away from that. Alistar engaged. Now seeing if he can get some return damage out over the wall. Rights of the Arcane going to be channeled once again. Not going to be finding lethal with these shots, but will push back NQG as we look to continue sieging now in the bot lane for the Panthers. Going to try and break open another one of those inhibitor turrets. Not much of a wave to work with right now, but they do have another one coming in, and still a minute on this Baron buff.
Yeah, Xerath getting a big chunk here, and they're getting a lot of value out of this 4-1, which is effectively a 1-1-3 right now with Clay going into the mid, making things super uncomfortable for them. Fortress Door has to back here, or he might potentially die.
Oh, there it goes. Aurelior with the engage. They will find the Veigar with the whirling death. Call the Forge God coming out as Piggy has found a big flank onto the 3-man contingent. Jonesy will be able to pick one more before he does go down. So a big play from No Quarter Gaming to try and hold on to the base, but this split focus from Poisonous Panthers is continuing to work in their favor. So they're going to break down the third and final inhibitor turret. Never move, not going to land. Seeing if they can get just a bit more value out of this Baron buff. They only have it for about 15 more seconds. Does the side of the Poisonous Panthers is die in a 1v1 with Rek'Sai right now, which would normally be very scary for Xerath, but he is 3 levels ahead right now. DMFK going to go in and look for this one anyway and just gets absolutely blasted. In comes a teleport now. Muzra is going to want to try and chase down this mid laner, but the teleport in response from Pimp Squid to defend. And the play will be disengaged.
Now, with as many people dying as they did here, it was obviously, I think, worth doing the 1v1 to try and get it. It was pretty close, but not close enough here. And of course, getting that pickup was pretty nice, stopping the Baron buff. It was super late into it, which means it probably wasn't worthwhile. And they only have 2 turrets right now, which are protecting the Nexus. Once those are down, that's going to be a bit of a GG scenario. They have to be able to leverage these 2 turrets. They're going to have to wait for the enemy to push into them, play to their well, get some extra regen whenever they need to walk back there, and use the extra turrets as some extra people, trying to make this dive a little bit more difficult. It's not looking good for him. It's not looking good for him.
It's really not. No Quarter Gaming, probably not going to be doing too much of leaving their base for the rest of this game. And we are going to have Infernal Soul on the table in less than 5 minutes time, and giving over to an Infernal Soul to Xerath and Draven is pretty much just as good as your Nexus exploding. So running out of runway here are No Quarter Gaming.
Yeah, and look at what Jonesy Jukes' 4th item here is. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Force of Nature.
Force of Nature. Just because they're so heavy in AP damage, like I pointed out into the draft phase. The extra movement speed to stick onto targets, because it's going to try and push them away, and survivability with Ma. They're killing people, so might as well, right? If you're up 2 levels.
In comes Fortress Door, going to be looking for some kind of play here, but cannot get onto the carries. In comes Rel with a big Magnet Storm from the flank here. Can we get the follow-up in? The Rights of the Arcane from long range will get out some decent damage, but Aurelior looks to be the first to go down, and it's going to be the jungler who follows. Clay also taken out in the middle of that fight as the carries were pushed back. Not able to get, look at this big flank from Pimp Squid, looking for revenge, redemption for the Olaf. Able to get one onto the support, not able to chase down anybody else, but the 1 kill might be enough, as now the inhibitors will fall. All of No Quarter Gaming forced to retreat back to the fountain to recover their health bars, and the Nexus turrets are going down. In the meantime, it's only 1 Nexus turret left for No Quarter Gaming, and 1 more axe from Jonesy Jukes will cause that to be no more. The cage will come down. Never Move will pull in the mid laner. Dash in trouble. The shutdown over to the Ornn. Pimp Squid and a Jukes. Can they end the game right here? Can they make it happen? The Olaf's just going to get pulled in, and Jonesy's going to call his losses. He is going to call it right there and head for the hills. The game will continue for now, Abba, but only a Nexus remains for No Quarter Gaming.
It looks so great for them. They're able to get as many kills as they did, a major shutdown, and, of course, 10 Magi stacked are off. This is so deadly BSN RN right now. The thing you do have to keep in mind, though, is a lot of people on the Poisonous Panthers. Had a lot of gold on them as well. There's 1.4k gold sitting on Jukes here. So they're going to be able to cash in that advantage, which is not going to be looking great for them. And it's going to be hard for a Quarter Gaming to challenge this Baron with as many super minions going in their way.
Ooh, it's going to be real difficult. We do have Jonesy kind of farming up these bot side jungle camps at the moment. I'm not really sure why that's the priority at the current time.
I don't get why it's the priority. Maybe they're really close to finishing one item with that last whisper. They need that 1.6k gold now. Maybe that's what they needed.
Was that it? Yeah, maybe that was enough to finish the Lord Doms. And they have just decided that they don't need Draven to take this objective. They do see pretty much all of No Quarter Gaming in their own base to fend off those super minion waves, and it's looking like this will be a pretty casual Baron take for the side of the Panthers.
Yeah. And we have 4 ornaments here as well, but it's just not going to be enough. They're still down 13,000 gold, and ornaments can only lift so much weight here. There's the LDR, like we saw. A couple of things I want to note here before this ends. Look at the bottom support vision score. 92 versus 69. Nice. And there's other spots where it's been like super important here as well. The top side, way more vision happening here as well, which has enabled a lot of these plays, which we talked about for the jungle.
Certainly another thing that set them up for success, but now the final fight, it seems, is commencing. Fortress door into the backline to try and create some space for the rest of the team. Same story for the Rel or the Olaf, rather, and the Udyr on the other side, but the Olaf will be traded for the Alistar at the start of this one. Clay still in the thick of things. The Udyr getting some work done on Protide here. Swain able to survive for quite a while, desperately trying to get onto this Xerath, but just doesn't have the range and will eventually get taken down by Daj with the skill shots, and now it's only Piggy left. He was the only hope the whole time, and in the end, the Nexus will fall before he does. 32 minutes on the game clock, and the Poisonous Panthers will take game number 1.
Yeah, they almost got back to 25 Magi's stacks here as well. Oh, we almost got a fountain kill. Well done, Poisonous Panthers. Able to secure 1 game here in this best of 3, I believe. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean,
my game froze.
It looks like mine did as well. Yeah, I just went with the old Alt F4 angle.
Yeah, I got it.
But it's a shame for No Quarter Gaming, right? Because they did have some bright points in this one. You know, they had the really nice. I mean, it was certainly a creative draft. I feel it didn't really end up working out too much in their favor, unfortunately. They were definitely lacking a little bit in consistent damage, and the scaling didn't really come through in the way that it needed to. There were just, I think, some other shortcomings maybe of the composition. They were pretty severely outranged by the Xerath, and you know, obviously being that far behind in gold as well is just going to make things extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah, so a lot of things happened here, like I mentioned, for the magic damage. I also mentioned the draft phase, No Quarter Gaming really wanted to create that space. And if they were able to get to these objectives first, they would have been able to do that, force some fights out and get some gold advantage there and stall the game out so they could get some scaling, right? Viger's got to get his stacks, Orange's got to hand out his ornaments and get XP, etc. But they weren't able to do that. They didn't have the wave clear. Swain's wave clear isn't as good as Xerath's. And of course, they were able to push things out to the bot side as well, which gave them some dragon control here. Olaf was able to clear some waves there pretty well as well. It got him killed several times, but he was also able to get a lot of vision on the jungler, which really enabled the entire rest of his team. So losing top side, I don't think was the worst thing for them.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see if Piggy AI wants to go for a little bit of a more aggressive option in game number 2, considering how well that top lane was going. But we'll have to wait and see. You know, who's your MVP for game number 1 here, Abba? You know, who's the strongest performer, do you think, on the side of the Poisonous Panthers in this first one?
It's either got to be Rel or Xerath, I think. Rel had some really good rotations, had good vision score, and really helped their team secure a lot of kills. But Xerath also had some pretty good rotations and prevented just Swain from being able to do a whole lot with the wave clear and just being able to poke people out as much, sitting at 25 Magi stacks for so long. It's criminal.
Dej also obliterating those damage charts, just shy of
Hmm.
50k damage on the Zerath in 32-minute game here. Was more than double second highest damage on Summoner's Rift here for game number 1. So really impressive performance, honestly, from the mid laner of the Panthers. But everybody really, with the possible exception of Pimp Squid, playing quite well here in this
Yeah.
first game. And we shall see. They were, of course, on paper, the stronger team coming into this matchup. And it's time to find out if the Poisonous Panthers will find the 2-0 or if no quarter gaming will give them more of a run for their money. We'll be right back, guys, as the Style Esports playoffs continue. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Season 16 playoffs. We are now getting ready to jump into our Game 2 draft between No Quarter Gaming and the Poisonous Panthers. No Quarter Gaming, as the losers of game number 1, have elected to move over to the blue side for this second game. Abba, what other adaptations are you expecting to see come out from NQG?
Well, No Quarter Gaming is going to be able to get a bit of a priority pick here, and possibly in Udyr band, they were able to get some pretty good early leads. They had a better clear earlier on, and they were able to get some earlier dragons as well by themselves. So that makes a whole lot of sense. And I believe they're an Udyr. They're strong with the Udyr pick.
Remember, yeah. Udyr most played for Clay.
There we go.
Banned away from him for this second game. Our first pick in game number 1 was the Rel for the Panthers on blue side. The Panthers have banned the Rel on red side to deny that from coming out from NQG. And so the Jarvan will be the option on this B1 pick for DMFK. Another aggressive early game jungle choice for the NQG jungle.
And I believe was the first ban for No Quarter Gaming when they were on the other side of this equation as
you
well.
Are exactly right.
So enabling their team here going to be pretty good. Pairs well with Misfortune, who's on the table right now, or other big AoE spells.
Ooh.
Heckram, Horsey Boy.
Buffed this patch, actually, on 13-17. I didn't really put too much stock in those Heckram buffs. They're almost entirely focused on trying to reduce his dependence on Mana Moon. So they, increased his base mana regen, and, his W, I think, costs less mana now, and also maybe gives, slightly less damage reduction or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I didn't really think the Heckram buffs seemed too impactful, but maybe Clay feels differently. I don't know.
Yeah, Panthers is certainly going in here. Depth charge plus Heckram and everything else. If No Quarter Gaming does end up picking that Misfortune, like I mentioned earlier, it's really awkward to position because Nautilus can just press R on you so long as they have vision, and that's really devastating. And then Heckram can, of course, just dive in here as well. But I love Renata here.
Yeah, seems like a great pick. If we are going forward on the side of the Panthers, right? Renata, one of the best in class champions at disengage.
Mm-hmm. And there's the Misfortune.
Indeed. You called it.
I did call it here. They're going to have to be very careful with their positioning to get their bullet time combination out with Cataclysm as well. But she's going to be able to survive pretty well, and the movement speed and handshake should be pretty helpful.
Should be, in theory, as well as the hostile takeover, of course, to keep that Misfortune safe. But I think it is good that you mentioned the fact that we are going to need to see Muzra play very carefully around these team fights. You know, the Misfortune does have some really great synergy with the other options that No Quarter Gaming have drafted for themselves, but it can be very scary to play a champion like that with no mobility into what Panthers have drafted for themselves.
Wind wall.
Yeah. Another great response.
As someone who played Misfortune competitively in style esports, let me tell you, I've got some choice words for Yasuo players when I play Misfortune, none of which I will say on stream.
I see. Well, we'll have to save that for the after stream session.
The after stream session. The wind wall, it's just so good versus AD carries, especially if your big combo is a projectile.
Now, here's a question for you, Abba. Is the Yasuo going mid or bot?
Oh my gosh. Because Nautilus's knockup is super good. And then isn't Heckram's technically?
Yeah, Heckram on the E is also a knockup.
Yeah. I would say mid, just because he's able to roam pretty well and Nautilus can roam. That being said, we've seen mid picks go into the bot lane here before on red side. Different team, of course, but it's doable. Misfortune's a pretty big lane bully, which does make things kind of awkward for Yasuo. So I still think mid because of that.
All right. Well, taking a look at our second ban phase here, we have one mid lane option, one top lane option removed from each side. Aurelion Sol Ornn not going to be an option this time around. Mordekaiser is also removed. Now play on R4. It's a little bit of a Yasuo composition, isn't it, Eva?
It's a go in combination. Yasuo has so many go buttons.
So now we need what? We're looking for an 80 carry with a knock up. I really think it could be a Yasuo bot angle here.
Nyla?
I'm leaning more in that
Samira?
direction the further we go in this. Samira could be an angle.
Or Vigar.
Just
They need
Vagar
AP
again.
damage. They need AP
Yeah.
damage. Any
Jonesy
AP
Juke's going to show us how that bot carry Vagar is supposed to be done, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Give him a little bit of the disrespect. No, I can play this better than you.
So we don't have the most front line on No Quarter Gaming necessarily, but the Jarvan and the Volibear could certainly stack up some armor for themselves if we are going full AD on the side of the Panthers. Let's see if that's going to dissuade them, if they will be looking to lock in some magic damage for themselves with this R5 pick, like you were just mentioning.
A couple of things to note. Orianna is pretty safe with her projectiles. Of course, it's hard to hit a moving target like Yasuo, but you're able to move your ball around the wind wall, which is pretty hefty as well. And Volibear can be a ball delivery service, and should people try to jump on there, you can use your Q ultimate as well to just pull people into a cataclysm, and then Jarvan can flag and drag out, which can be pretty helpful here as well. So there's options.
That if it's not broke, yeah, just pull it out again. Xerath, I mean, Dodge had a fantastic performance on that Xerath in game number 1. I think it was a consensus between us that Dodge was able to secure that game 1 Pog vote, I believe. So it's going to be the Xerath once again in the mid lane here for the Panthers. We'll be able to provide that magic damage that we were looking for, but the Xerath can be a little bit dangerous into things like the Jarvan.
Yeah, it can be pretty dangerous here. It's pretty important that they picked a champion like this just because Orianna's range is super big. Of course, Xerath is a little bit slower when he's charging his Q, but can still do some good poke damage in return. Panthers, though, pretty forced to be into melee range minus Xerath. So the range advantage is going to go to No Quarter Gaming.
Definitely the case. But we saw what Xerath was able to do in that previous game. He was pretty much a one-man army. So, you say that they don't have the range advantage, but I'm not entirely convinced just yet, Abba. We'll have to see how things do end up playing out in these team fights.
The flip side of that is range advantage is only good if you can maintain that space. And Horse Boy says, no, I am in your face. I have 4 legs, you only have 2. I run faster than you.
That is pretty much how that works. But yeah, I'd say that's a pretty succinct summary of the Hecarim's game plan. So, it's looking pretty scary for the Panthers. And the other thing as well, when you go for an unorthodox draft like this, something that's a little bit different from what you usually see, it gives any future opponents that you may have pause, right? And especially towards the end of the season like this and playoffs. I don't know if this is a composition that the Panthers were actually saving for the playoffs for a moment like this, or if this is something that they brought out earlier on in the season as well. It's not something that I really saw in my sort of cursory research that I had been doing beforehand. But, when you go for an unusual composition like this, it can be really threatening for any future opponents, as they get ready to match up against you. It kind of causes them to second guess maybe some of their own strategies or their draft preparation, having to consider, maybe this different angle that could come out from the Panthers, assuming they do end up moving on in the bracket.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lot of eggs in one basket gambit. They do have a backup for Panthers with Xerath, who has shown they can perform, but not to tunnel vision too much into the Panthers here. Let's talk a little bit about what No Quarter Gaming has to do to secure this game, because they gotta go for a reverse sweep if they want to win this best of 3. So Misfortune's going to have to be very particular in how they manipulate this. They're going to have to make sure there's no wind wall between them and their target, and that Malphite isn't going to be able to do Unstoppable Force. Hecarim isn't going to be able to do that. No depth charge is going to be happening here, and they're going to be still as well for Arcane Barrage. So they're going to have to be very, very mindful and strut around all of these skill shots here. Volibear is going to have to be able to provide some of this disruption here as well, either going for a counter dive or crucially staying in there and just ulting in on some of these big targets to peel away. Sometimes going for the counter dive for Alicia carries a little bit too vulnerable, and a lot of damage is going to be on that Misfortune and Orianna. If one of those goes, the numbers advantage certainly will favor Panthers.
Yeah. You were just saying a moment ago, Abba, that you feel like it's kind of a one basket situation a little bit for the Panthers, but I want to say that it is kind of a similar story for No Quarter Gaming as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
their team fighting is going to pivot a lot around the positioning of this Misfortune, and you know, it's going to be a necessity for them keeping her safe and making sure that she's set up for success. You know, they also, of course, have that scaling mage in the mid lane to try and supplement that
Mm-hmm.
damage a little bit, and the Orianna, of course, can provide quite a good amount of damage later on. You know, once she gets towards those 3 items, but
Mm-hmm.
No Quarter Gaming, you know, they are going to need to execute cleanly here
Yep.
to, you know, come
And
back
the
from this.
and the big thing about one trick compositions is they're fun. Wombo combo combinations win games. They do really well. I've used it and gotten W's. I've gotten to finals before with conversations with like
Yeah,
this
I believe
playing
it.
Misfortune. But the thing is what you're doing and what the enemy is doing, and then the defenses for both is what's super important. For this combo, we have Windwall to stop it, as well as the aggression that Panthers want also acts as an aggressive and defensive option to stop what No Quarter Gaming is doing here. I don't think the same is true for No Quarter Gaming. They don't have as many disruptive options as well as counter measures that they can just easily do to peel people off.
Yeah, they do have maybe a little bit more threat in the early game this time around, something that they
Yeah.
were sorely lacking really in their previous game, right? In game number 1. This time around, the
Mm-hmm.
Jarvan, coupled with the Misfortune, and even the Volibear as well, can be quite strong in that early game. So it seems a
Yeah.
lot more options earlier on for No Quarter, and hopefully not going to go down so far in this laning phase. But
Yeah.
Ebba, of course, we're also, I think, looking for a stronger performance this time around out of Pimp Squid. You know, the top laner
Mm-hmm.
for the Poisonous Panthers, you know, the squad was able to get that game 1 win, but Pimp Squid, unfortunately, not able to contribute very much to that victory. And this time around, the top laner for the Panthers, blind picking this time around on the Malphite and playing into Piggy's Volibear. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on that matchup as well.
Yeah. Well, the upside to playing Malphite here for Pimp Squid is even if you are bad, Unstoppable Force is unstoppable. They will not stop you unless they murder you mid-flight, and you will
Right.
enable everyone else for your combo here as well. Something else I want to highlight. I know you talked about how the early game being a little bit stronger for No Quarter Gaming here as well. Misfortune's E, so Mizra is going to be able to E onto Yasuo to get rid of that shield. Pretty easy, big area of effect, hard to miss, and has good range, which means the actual auto attack harassment from Love Tap as well as everything else she does will be able to hit his HP pool rather than just that shield.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be critical, I think. The passive, playing around the passive is
Mm-hmm.
often a big part of playing against Yasuo. You know, you need to actually be able to threaten him, especially if he is playing aggressively, if he's trying to dash through those minion waves, right? Like you need to actually make that costly for the Yasuo, or he's just going to be able to put out so much pressure. It becomes really difficult to deal with. So definitely going to be to keep an eye on that as well. They do have the double ranged versus the double melee advantage in the bot lane
Mm-hmm.
this time around for No Quarter Gaming. So in theory, I think that can be looking pretty good for them, but it only takes one dredge line, right, to turn the tables in that sort of matchup so quickly.
Yeah, hopefully Fortress Door can bail out Muzura here. If they can't, we all know what happens to Yasuo. He goes in and then he kills you, and he either goes 10-0 or he 0-10s.
Absolutely. Well, what do you think here, Abba, before we go into our break as we prepare for game number 2? A little bit of a different look from No Quarter Gaming this time around in the draft. Do you think it's going to be enough to get them on the board, bring us to that game 3?
Potentially, we saw Poisonous Panthers overextend, get punished, even with a gold deficit. No Quarter Gaming was able to do that, and this would be the game to do it.
Absolutely. No Quarter Gaming. Backs against the wall now. They only have 1 life left here in Season 16. It is now or never. The Poisonous Panthers, after a pretty dominant Game 1 win, looking to put together a convincing 2-0 performance tonight as they make their own run through the playoff lower bracket here in the Targon division. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with game number 2. See you soon. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Rift for our second game of the night. The team swapping sides for this second battle. No Quarter Gaming over to the blue side. Poisonous Panthers taking positions on the red. No Quarter Gaming, a cheeky 5-stack right now in this bush, expecting the level 1 invade perhaps from the Nautilus, but it will not be forthcoming.
Yeah, we saw 5-stack last game here happen to the top side too, which led to a bunch of wards happening to make things a little bit more interesting to keep track of the junglers. We'll have to see if Clay is going to get a similar performance over DMFK here or not.
DMFK, I'm going to have a much more secretive start this time around. Not going to be doing their first couple of camps on Vision.
Yep, always a big boon here as well. And Raptors was not warded as well. Let's just talk a little bit. Go ahead.
I do see a ward for the Panthers on that Raptor camp, in fact. So the Jarvan will eventually be spotted if he does path towards that bottom side. I think it was the very late that ward was placed, so that's probably why you didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's pretty late. Oh yeah, it's only been on for 30 seconds. We should probably talk a little bit about wards here and what everyone wants to be doing here. Top side, short versus long trade with Lethal Tempo versus Grass, just trying to get some extra HP on the Pimp Squid. Of course, both junglers are okay with these longer fights. And then mid and bot side want short trades for the most part with First Strike and Summonary. Of course, Lethal Tempo onto the Yasuo going for longer fights. Ooh. Hold that thought.
Big trade for Piggy in this top lane. Pimp Squid running out of HP once again. Gonna have to burn the flash extremely early on, not respecting the early game power of the Volibear. And Malphite already struggling up here.
Yeah, it was such a good trade for them. Able to chunk him out here. And, of course, wave clear, not super great for Malphite. Not something Tank's particularly good at. And the CS difference at 6 already shows it.
Jarvan, DMFK, going to look for a play down here. It's going to be the Poisonous Panthers looking to get on the board early on. Relore flashing away. Oh, it's the Poisonous Panthers actually on the retreat here. My mistake. It will be the first blood, in fact, over to No Quarter Gaming. Does go on to the support. Fortress Door going to get the money for that one. A little bit unfortunate, but still, No Quarter Gaming strike first in the bot lane.
Yeah, for 5 summoners, they were able to get a nice 300 gold lead here. Ignite down from Fortress Door. Both exhaust and both the AD carries down. Earlier also lost their flash with DMFK, but a gold lead is a gold lead, able to capture that here.
Yeah, getting the Jarvan active early on, very, very important, of course. Whenever you pick Jarvan, that is sort of the primary reason. There are other things the champion can offer, but if you pick Jarvan and then you don't find anything in the early game, it always does feel quite bad.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like you're a bot trying to go in, trying to help your team, which is like a strategy of sorts. You get a lot of value out of it, but it just doesn't feel great. The other thing to mention here is Fortress Door did end up getting it, so extra gold in the support doesn't always feel the greatest. Still, is going to be able to utilize that. Control wards wins games, extra stats, and enchanters are pretty good.
Is very cheeky here. A Relore in the bot side river to try and bluff the fact that his jungler is coming to collect that second Scuttle Crab. The Nautilus will eventually be pushed out, and Clay is actually going for some invading, and now the Dredge Line not going to find the mark in the mid lane, but Hecarim is going to build up a nice little lead in the jungle for himself.
Yeah.
This is something that Hecarim loves to do, right? Similar to the Udyr in that regard, of course, that we saw Clay on in the previous game. Just wants to power farm through that early game for the most part. As Dash quite low. One more Q, has to flash it. Nice respect from the Xerath there, but that is a big win for Protide in the mid lane. Here comes Clay into the top side. We are looking back to the mid lane, and Dash is going to get flashed on. Oh, Protide just saw him use the flash to escape, and Xerath walks back up into Orianna's flash range, and Protide able to pick up that kill. Meanwhile, the Volibear was able to make it out of that 1v2. And the top side is going to be No Quarter Gaming up 2-0 now in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, good news for them indeed. Up 500 gold, forcing out a lot of teleports here as well. Thanks to that early play, and of course, what we saw in the mid lane here as well. Getting that lost chapter is just going to mean that Protide's going to be able to clear waves faster, especially the caster minions, which is just going to make them play safer and harass more, which is exactly what they need. If BSN isn't as strong as they were last game, it looks way better for No Quarter Gaming.
Absolutely. Yeah, remember, how much of the heavy lifting was actually being done by that Xerath in terms of damage in the previous game. So if we set Dash behind, ooh, Jonesy in trouble, wind walling on the handshake, but now, dodges away from the EQ, flashing away as well to create some additional space. Now the Nautilus might be the target. Aurelor does get the dredge line, will in fact just be able to walk that one out. Get back underneath the tier 1 turret. Decent attempt from DMFK. We'll get the flash off of the Oswell.
And the exhaust and ignite out of No Quarter Gaming here as well. So they did get something out of that flash, but flash is a longer cooldown. And with people approaching level 6 soon, being down flash is pretty crucial at this time.
Yeah, and going for that gank did take more time, right? We can see that CS differential in the jungle continuing to grow.
Are we going to get a dive?
On this Hecarim? Yeah, we do have a possibility of that. Here's the knockup will land onto Fortress Door. The root as well from the Nautilus. Renata chunked down extremely low. Hecarim waiting in the bush with the onslaught of shadows ready to be utilized.
Muzzra's low in mana here too, which is not good news for them.
Do they walk back up to hit the wave? I think they might. They're going to be in danger if they do. Clay is going to go in with the very quick flash there from Fortress Door, but it will not matter as the rights to the arcane will be displayed by Dash. Xerath picking up his first of the game and the first of game 2 for the Poisonous Panthers.
Well played. Being able to get that pick up here as well. Wasn't the most obvious thing to see, but if you were paying attention to the mid side, he had more than enough time to roam, able to get that wave to push out, so the bounce back is not going to lose any farm here. Bot was able to push out here as well, getting the crash, and they're starting up Dragon. Pip also hasn't died yet, which is pretty good compared to last game.
Very true. Very true.
There's been close calls.
There was that really close call at level 2, yeah, but since then it seems the Malphite has been playing with an appropriate amount of respect towards the bear. But I do want to commiserate for just a moment with Fortress Door, because it was a really nice flash, right? The Renata did not have vision of Hecarim in that bush. It was literally just reacting to the onslaught of shadows coming at him from fog. Did manage to get back towards the turret, but of course then not able to escape from the Xerath ultimate. So well played by both sides, but it's the Poisonous Panthers able to reap the rewards. Not able to secure the Dragon, though. Chemtech Dragon can actually be a little bit tricky to take early on, especially if it's just the jungler trying to solo it. So this could potentially be the first neutral of the game over to No Quarter Gaming if they can't secure themselves this Rift Tower. With Piggy rotating down and all of the control in that top lane, it looks like that will be what does come through.
Yeah, and part of Panthers' success last game was getting an early Dragon and early Rift Herald. And then I think they got the second Dragon here as well before No Quarter Gaming was able to get anything. So this is a big change-up.
Look at that lethal tempo stacked up for Piggy. Malphite only with a couple of ruby crystals so far. Can't really do too much. Just have to back.
And of course, Piggy AI is going to be able to clear things up as well with his passive static shiv effectively. Ooh, a cheeky invade here. They don't have a whole lot of vision, so if they get caught out, it's not going to be great for them.
They had the mid priority as well, though.
That's true.
Dash here to cover for any kind of engagement that may happen. Looks like the red buff is going to be secure. There's Muzzra moving over just to check the Dragon, but did not think to check the red buff. And now DMFK is going to be just in time to discover the bad news that Jonesy Jukes has made off with that Brambleback buff.
Disconnect.
And now Aurelor is in trouble. Hecarim, though, with the counter engage onto DMFK. The drive-in with the bailout, though, able to stay alive for so long. 2 kills, 3 kills do go over to No Quarter Gaming. Dash now getting flashed on by the Orianna. Has to flash away from the command attack. Protide able to sidestep on their Arcanal Pulse as well. And No Quarter Gaming coming alive here in game number 2.
Yeah, we saw the Nautilus going for the hook, but we saw Joni Jukes was not on the same page, walking away from that, so they weren't able to get the pickup, which made things so awkward for their team, and the return kill happened here, and of course, Protide was able to punish the ultimate here, chunking out BSN RN.
Absolutely. The Xerath trying to rotate over to try and help out the team as they were losing out in
Oh.
that fight. But, Protide's in trouble now. Clay's just
There's
going to be
the
able to
kills.
charge at him, and it's just going to take a couple of Qs. Ephraim does get on the board here, and Poisonous Panthers absolutely could still come back into this one. But No Quarter Gaming, I mean, that's the weakness of the Xerath, as we saw there, is it's really hard for him to move.
Up 1.5k gold, pretty important. And speaking of gold, it's probably important to see who has more gold as this dragon's being taken. Top side is down 700 gold for Poisonous Panthers. It's tied between the junglers right now, but there's a 600 gold lead favoring Panthers and a 600 gold lead favoring No Quarter Gaming, which is very good for their AD carry here as well. And a 700 gold lead for Fortress Door.
Yeah, Jonesy Juke still 9 deaths away from that big power spike. So long time until the Yasuo can really get online. Feeling much better about their situation in the bot lane this time around with No Quarter Gaming. Speaking of which, Dredgeline from Aurelio to try and peel away this 3-man play coming out the handshake, though, will pull back in Jonesy. Nautilus going to go down first as the lockdown was there. Nautilus still just level 5, not nearly tanky enough to survive that. 6-3 now on the scoreboard as No Quarter Gaming continue to push in the bot lane. Piggy also on the top side, looking to continue doing some work against Pimp Squid. Going to go in with the Sky Stormbringer, and that will be the solo bolo underneath the turret. Pimp Squid once again struggling in that top 1v1. The Herald will be utilized to charge into the tier 1 in the bottom lane, getting some additional gold into Muzra's pockets. And No Quarter Gaming now extending their gold advantage to about 3k out.
Yeah, this is very well done by them. It looks like Panthers is trying to do their best impression of Gone with the Wind here. Just kind of getting deleted and caught out. I mentioned last game that they had some really good vision, but that's not the case this time. And there's just been a little bit of disconnect here, too.
Oh, he's just coming to the depth charge onto a Renata, and that's going to mean that NF is wide open to go for the bullet time. Just completely opens up on him. In comes Clay, though. Will be able to charge in, but gets handshaken. Oh, Hecarim doesn't even have hands, but it didn't matter there as the double kill goes over to Muzra. Absolute disaster now for the Panthers in the bot lane. Truly an ill-fated maneuver, as they just did not even attempt to get on top of Muzra, and Muzra really made him pay for it.
Yeah, has been cashing in too much, has been eating too much sugar or something. His legs were not working. Got caught out, couldn't get into the bush, got auto to death, and, you know, Muzra, not online at all. 404, not found.
Yeah, just an error message getting displayed right now for the Poisonous Panthers.
Yeah, blue screen of death.
They go for these plays. Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate. But hopefully, you know, they can fix those technical difficulties and, you know, try and get that webpage back up and running before all is said and done. But it would be fun to get a Game 3 tonight as well. No Quarter Gaming showing us that they have what it takes here in this Game 2 early game.
It's an elimination round, so there's a lot on the line here. Speaking of which, look who's getting caught out, Pimp Squid.
Pimp Squid in trouble once again here. Does have the ultimate. Will actually be expending the flash instead to escape. Interesting choice there. Maybe wanting to hold on to the ultimate for a potential team fight that might be coming up around this second Rift Heralds.
I suppose so.
More generous interpretation.
That is a very generous interpretation indeed.
I like to be generous when I can.
That's fair. Something to note here with the early game being done. 5k gold lead, not to mention the tower advantage here that was executed not that long ago, and another tower on the top side might be happening, making mid tower that much weaker, which is going to put things in a bit of an awkward spot for BSF.
Yeah. Muzra just about tied, actually, with his top lane right now for richest person on the Rift. Hecarim and Nautilus right now, waiting in that top side tri-brush, hoping to find an angle onto the Misfortune, but none will present itself, as the entire squad is here pretty much for No Quarter Gaming as they look to secure themselves this second Herald. Still a minute on the second Dragon. A very late start on the Dragon stacking here in game number 2. They're going to find a last breath over the wall onto Piggy, but the Volley Bear does have ultimate once again here. Can disable the turret, and Jonesy, just gets mauled to death. Bear beats Samurai, I suppose, what we just learned there. Meanwhile, Shirley has been secured by the rest of No Quarter Gaming. They're just continuing to win out across the map.
Yeah, Bear does beat Samurai here, and the exhaust wasn't enough. He
Not even
used it a
close.
little bit too early here. If he used it maybe into the ultimate when he was going to do a little bit more damage, a little bit beefier, maybe it works. But it was an interesting play. But he's just down too much gold. Doesn't have a mythic yet versus the Nasher's Tooth, and the Leeching Leer.
Mage Bear coming in. He's just flashing in for this one. He doesn't care. The bear don't care, Abba. It's going to be Xerath flashing away, trying to stay alive. Dash looks like has created enough space to escape, but Volibear flash for Xerath flash feels pretty worthwhile.
It's 5 mythics to 1 right now.
Oof.
To be
Absolutely.
fair, Clay has a Sojin, which is not a mythic, but still a
And the
completed
Nasher's
item.
Tooth also not a mythic. So it
Oh,
is only
I guess that's
4
fair.
mythics if we're being technical.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I forgot.
Yeah. That was the first dragon of the game for no quarter. They're going to tie up that dragon count at 1-1, still with Shirley in tow. We'll see when they decide to actually utilize that second herald. The time may be now, as we are pushing up in the mid lane. Going to hope to break down this tier 1 turret. Dodge in position to defend, but it's hard to defend against Shirley. She's pretty good at destroying these turrets, and she will be successful once again.
Yeah, she is, and don't call me Shirley.
My apologies, Zeph. I'm so sorry.
Leslie Nielsen, never change.
We are ghost blading into the top lane right now for Muzra, just wanting to collect that CS as quickly as possible.
Doing a bit of a Hecarim impersonation with the strut and
Okay, we're calling upon the arcane rights once again for Xerath, just trying to get that minion wave cleared out, but the turret will also be cleared away as Piggy, oh my goodness, this bear is just an absolute menace, isn't he? He is going in here to try and contest for the blue buff. I'm not going to be able to get that one. This might actually not the cleanest from Clay. The chance Volibear could have got in there to secure that, especially with the Sky Splitter. You know, the E still doing quite a bit of damage to jungle camps, but he'll be the hacker, able to secure his own blue
damage.
Buff. Oh, what was that? Sorry?
And the AP damage there, too. Doesn't it scale a little bit with AP?
That's true. Yeah, even with the build as well. Even stronger is the Sky Splitter.
Yeah. Senior Magic Bear does more damage than you expect. It's kind of like, oh, it's not his usual build. He'll be fine. You're like, what? Where'd my HP go?
All right. So it is 2 items now completed for Piggy down there on the Volibear. Still looking to get our first item all done for Pimp Squid. You know, we did kind of stop off for the Bomby's Cinder there, interestingly.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty typical for tanks to get Balmies just to get a little bit more wave clear, especially when you consider it. I think it's a pretty reasonable play to go for it super early on.
Sure, yeah. It's pretty common, definitely. Not really seeming to be too helpful for the Malphite in this particular case, but, you know, I don't know if there's really any item that... Okay, we're flagging and dragging, and we're cataclysming the Xerath. Dash, no flash, no hope. No way out of that one. That's going to be another kill over to no quarter, but they do lose their mid laner. Their own, so a trade of the mid laners in different parts of the map there. But importantly, the Poisonous Panthers are able to strike back a little bit, and this will be a little bit of more gold onto their Yasuo.
A breath of fresh air, indeed. But the bot side towers, they're gone. They're pushed up to their inhib tower under the bot side, which is not where you want to be. Especially with Dragon coming up. And Ocean Dragon's good on everyone right now.
I mean, it's a tough situation for the Poisonous Panthers. Clearly, they have made the call where they have decided they cannot contest in a straight-up fight to defend these turrets that are outside of the base. So they're just trying to cross-map to get anything that they can, right? It's Jonesy in that top lane. We'll be able to pick up a little bit of gold. Objective bounty as well from, I think it was an objective bounty. I actually don't see them on right now, but I assume there was a bounty on that tier 1 turret.
I haven't seen any recently, and I don't think the chat showed it, but last game it also didn't show the first Rift Herald, so potentially did happen. One thing to mention here is the game plan was to kind of go in and group up, and because they can't do that cross map, it's still a good play trying to get into this, understanding they can't get some of these picks and contest, especially with Bailout existing on their team, coming out of Fortress Door, holding down the team.
Yeah, it really does kind of compound the gold disadvantage for Poisonous Panthers, right? The fact that the enemy team does have that really powerful disengage tool. Like, even if you do go for your play, even if you were on even footing in terms of the gold, it's still going to be tough to execute on. That additional layer coming out from No Quarter Gaming really does make things feel a little bit hopeless for the Poisonous Panthers. That's why we don't see them going for any of these plays right now in the even number situations. Dash had to flash back up this time, importantly. But Xerath, my friend, I think you got to stop walking so far down mid lane. It seems pretty dangerous.
You're not as strong as you were last game. We'll put it to you that way.
Yeah. And now he doesn't have flash again for the next 5 minutes or so. So that's a difficult portion of the game to navigate for Dash. See if they're going to be able to find
It looks like both teams are colliding here, trying to get priority to the mid and bot side. Dragon's coming up, and Baron, of course, is on the map, so trying to get some of the objectives. It's going to be good. A lot of walls are around here, so people are going to be grouped up, and you could potentially get a lot of AoEs here if you play your cards right. Of course, Panthers doesn't have the vision, so it's a bit dangerous for them.
Yeah, I mean, the vision control on lock right now for No Quarter Gaming, really a reversal, right, of what we saw in that previous game, where it was the Poisonous Panthers with all of the vision control. And now the Shu very much does seem to be on the other foot. And it is No Quarter. Oh, Dash, no flash. In goes Piggy. Gonna find that Xerath once again. Top laner, Pimp Squid gonna come in to try and peel for the mid laner, but it's not gonna work out. It's not gonna be enough. The double kill goes over to Piggy AI. And now it should be the clean rotation into the Baron for No Quarter Gaming.
We had a pretty strong suspicion that they were on Dragon. We had the announcer, and we just walked up there for an extra Q. Yeah, and we know they have a mobility over walls, so they got caught out there and rightfully punished. Of course,
I mean, that's the same play that they have run onto Dash's Xerath like 4 or 5 times in a row now, and he just keeps getting caught by it. He's just hanging out in mid lane, and DMFK, oh, I guess it was Piggy that time, but these divers just keep saying, hello, Mr. Xerath. Do you have flash? No? Oh, you're dead. How unfortunate for you.
Yeah, and it's a lot of reaction time between these people.
Okay, we are committing on to Piggy right now. The Volley Bear is strong. Is he strong enough? He's level 15 to Yasuo's 12 right now. Does have the flash. Will elects not to use it. Shutdown given over to Dash on the Xerath.
It was a 650 gold shutdown there. Well picked. Of course, cost them a TP, but they need whatever gold they can get. And more importantly, that's a Baron buff down, and we know Piggy can split.
Oh, Dash. Ooh. Fortress Door aggressive there, looking for the handshake. Almost able to find it. Xerath channeling the rights of the Arcane, but will immediately have to stop doing that as the movement over from the rest of No Quarter Gaming was going to threaten his position.
Something interesting here is Jonesy Jukes is catching up on gold. They're still 1,600 gold behind, but they've been able to successfully split and get a lot of solo gold by themselves. So they're still even in XP. Roughly, they're both level 12. And he's pushing on to his second item.
Certainly is. Going to be very, very scary here as we move towards the later stages of the game. Gold differential overall, about 6K at the moment in favor of No Quarter Gaming. Going to be potentially looking at Ocean Soul Point as well in about 2.5 minutes. In a really strong position now here in game number 2, looking to bring us to that third deciding game, potentially.
The pressure is on No Quarter Gaming. They have to win this. They have to play smart. If they make a big mistake here,
absolutely.
Yeah. If they make a big mistake here, the turrets are going to come down. And there's objective bounties on them too now, so it's going to be a little bit easier to come back.
They definitely are bounties now. Not before, but I knew they were coming. You know, I knew the bounties were going to be making an appearance before everything was said and done here in this one. Just a very casual, a very tentative, it seems, use of this Baron buff right now for No Quarter Gaming. You know, their top laner lost out on the buff, and it doesn't seem like they're very willing to try and press their advantage any further at the moment. You know, you kind of understand, right, because of the sort of explosive nature of the Poisonous Panthers composition, right? You know, it can be easier to find those sorts of engages when the enemy team is pressed up against your inhibitor turrets looking to siege.
The big advantage of the enemy having to move towards yours, it's further away for them to go, and you're closer to your fountain, so you can do some shorter backs, get some buys, and utilize your gold here. Versus it's a little bit more difficult for the enemy team.
Well, we are trying to take down the top tier too, but the right of the Arcane will come out to destroy that minion wave. And No Quarter Gaming aren't going to be able to find that either. So Baron buff has dissipated. Protide in trouble down here, actually. Ooh, dodges away from the tornado. Jonesy not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, Gale Force also unlocked on Jonesy.
Yeah, 2 items for Jonesy. That is big.
The mobility is also super key to reposition, especially for Wind Wall to save their team or themselves. Or just gap close.
Yeah.
Death Cap also pretty close for BSNRN. Another very important item. But Hull Breaker, Piggy AI. It's going to be able to eat through these towers, this Senor Magic Bear.
Interesting choice there. I mean, the Volibear has been winning out decisively in the top lane all night long, right? So I think for that reason, the choice does make a lot of sense and goes Piggy once again. Pim Squid gonna get chunked down to about 2/3. Here comes Yasuo though. Jonesy wants to try and turn the tables around here, but with the Hull Breaker completed, this bear is gonna take a lot of killing, and it will in fact be the bear who does the killing. It's gonna be Piggy AI with another 1v2 double kill, absolutely ripping into the Panthers tonight.
The exhaust stopped absolutely 0 damage there. And the Hull Breaker is just putting in so much work.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, this guy is just not taking any damage. Okay, now he's taking a little bit of damage, but Nautilus is taking a lot more. Where did he go, man? Oh, my goodness. The Mage Bear is unkillable, and he just one-shots people. This is ridiculous. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is taking the base. Things are really going to pieces now for the Panthers. The bot lane is getting absolutely obliterated right now. And that is going to be base destroyed in addition to the Ocean Soul points that was just secured.
Yeah, the dredge line is coming. They're going to be sinking underneath this big Ocean Drake sitting there at the bottom.
Yeah, really does feel like the anchor is well and truly strapped on to the ankles of the Panthers in this one.
Going to Davy Jones' locker, or perhaps a game 3 is on the menu.
That's what we call game 3s, right? It's the locker of Davy Jones. That's why we play Silver Scrapes for game 5s as well, because there's a lot of silver in the locker. You know, he's a lot of treasure in there. He's pirate, right? So
yeah, or Gangplank, you know.
True. I'm getting a little bit distracted here, though. We do have a Baron coming up in 15 seconds. That is going to be the next objective that No Quarter Gaming are going to be able to play around. I think with another Baron secured, they should be able to put an end to this second game. You know, should. Not a guarantee by any means, but, one would think, one would hope that would be
usually
enough.
Baron 2 with an 8k gold lead is pretty good at ending games when the bot inhibs down and your Hull Breaker 4-item Volibear can just teleport to the bot side.
With ult? No vision, though. Not going to go for it.
Yeah, 4-1 push is probably going to happen here, and it's going to be devastating.
Yeah, well, we've already seen that it is impossible to match Volibear, even if you send, like, 3 people. It just doesn't matter. You can't stop him. So, yeah. Assuming that the rest of No Quarter Gaming don't all get jumped on and die, I'm thinking they just kind of walk this one in.
Yeah.
Here comes Piggy. Gonna just kind of one-shot that tier 2. And we have the waves synced up pretty nicely. In comes DMFK and get that flash off the Xerath. In comes Nautilus now, flashing for the depth charge on the bus ride. Finds the dredge line as well, and it is a big wombo in the mid lane. Will it be enough, though, as the hostile takeover was... Oh, that's huge! 4-man last breath from Jonesy. He does get taken down, though, on the back end of this one. DMFK flashing underneath the inhibitor turret to take down the enemy jungler. Will trade his own life in return. Very chaotic fight. Meanwhile, Piggy AI is on the Nexus turrets. Volibear is going to be able to take down both Nexus turrets by himself, as well as the entirety of the Poisonous Panthers. Piggy AI just takes the game into his own paws and is going to absolutely rip this one away from the Panthers as we look towards game 3.
Yeah. And what an excellent trade here. Not caring at all. It looks like No Quarter Gaming is clawing their way back into game 3 and potentially the set.
Yeah, this was pretty decisive. I want to say this second game was more one-sided than our first one was in favor of the Panthers. You know, there was kind of that one moment at the very end, the defense on the mid inhibitor turret, where they finally found, it seemed like, the fight that they had been looking for all game long, but it just came far too late. Piggy was just completely untouchable on that volley bear, and enough of no quarter gaming were able to survive in that crazy mid lane skirmish that Piggy could not be stopped as he moved in towards those Nexus turrets.
Yeah. And the crazy thing here is the counter pick went to Poison Panthers, and they didn't win the counter matchup lane that they got to pick for
No.
with their last pick.
It
And they
was
lost
the
out.
Xerath on R5
Mm-hmm.
for the Panthers. Dash just wanting to go back to that pick, but yeah, I mean, we saw the mid lane, the 1v1, not really going as well this time around. Pro tied on a little bit more of a standard control mage. It seems was able to match up rather much better against Dash. And then later on in the game, the Xerath, when his team didn't have that big lead to where they were just like choking out their opponents, a Dash overextending a number of times in that mid lane, really kind of continuing to snowball the game away from their team.
Yeah. Just
Who's
doing
your
a little bit of
POG
payout.
for? Was everything all right there, Evan?
I was just doing a little bit of payout for the prediction here.
Oh, of course, of
It's
course.
got to go to Pig AI. They're 10 and
Yeah,
1.
it does. It does
And they
have to go
just
to
like
Piggy. Yeah,
they soloed the end basically. They're like, you know what?
really
I'll
did.
trade my team for your Nexus. It seems only fair.
Classic hole breaker gaming.
Mm-hmm.
You'll love to see it. But yeah, Piggy AI had a phenomenal performance even in game one, right? As well, despite the fact that the team ended up losing out in that first game. The top lane was still going quite well for no quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think a well deserved POG here in this second game, and now only one more POG remains for us to decide on tonight. There's no quarter gaming coming back in a big way here in game number 2 with the momentum now as we look towards that game number 3. Do you have any final thoughts on the series up to this point, Abba, before we go to another short break?
It's gonna be a good one, folks. Stay tuned for game 3.
Banger guaranteed. We'll see you on the other
Mm-hmm.
side.
I think everything I've been saying in the draft has been like so spot on.
right, everybody, welcome back once again to Style Esports Season 16 playoffs. Third and final game of the night now between the Poisonous Panthers and No Quarter Gaming. The Panthers electing to now go back to the blue side, returning to blue side after No Quarter Gaming was able to tie things up in that previous game. I believe that's 2-0 for blue side tonight, Abba, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Blue side gaming for sure here. Some interesting pickups here. Zoe banned right away. Ash banned right away. And then the Rex side from game one, so they were able to get some pretty good value out of it on No Quarter Gaming side. And the Udyr ban. First pick, Jarvan. Worked pretty well for No Quarter Gaming. This is going to enable potentially a lot of teams here. We'll have to see if they go with the same combo here with Misfortune. Yeah. Or if No Quarters is going to take it away.
We do need to keep a close eye out for that Volibear pick as well, I think, after the performance from Piggy in that previous game. That might deserve a little bit of a look as well.
Yeah.
Good picks still open here. Maokai going to be the response, presumably in the jungle for DMFK.
Yeah, it's a matchup I've seen a number of times, so it's always an interesting one to go between. Both enable their team pretty heavily, and there's the Misfortune pick. Goes pretty well with Maokai with the root and can stick into targets. So it's pretty nice, but Jarvan can also stick into targets like this, just kind of like I was talking about into game two. It does create an interesting scenario, though, for Panthers. Who are they going to pair with their enabler, J4?
Yeah, we do have Kaisa still open. The Draven. Jonesy could go back towards the Draven.
Never pick Kaisa into Misfortune. Is like your worst matchup.
Oh, is it really?
Please, Panther. Yeah, it's awful.
Wait,
because your trade matchup as Kaisa is auto and Q for your ISO damage. Misfortune can auto Q auto with her reset, and because of her passive, you can get 2 procs off of it if you do bounce back into a minion. So if you go for a long trade to get for all of your stuff in, well, Misfortune has an attack steroid and can outspace you and slow you, and it just doesn't work. There's no good scenario for you.
Oh, wow.
Braum, though, on the other hand, pretty close to Windshield, which can stop bullet time pretty well and protect your team fairly well as well.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. We have Jarvan as the spear, right? And now Braum is the shield. So pretty well equipped so far are the Panthers. And now they're going to go ahead and grab some guns for themselves. The Aphelios locked in for Jonesy.
Yeah, if you take the moon and you take the sun, you take everything that looks like fun, you get Aphelios.
Did you just come up with that?
No, that's the starting lyrics to Chowder's theme song.
Wow, incredible. Okay. Never unexpected Chowder. That's probably a subreddit. Somebody check for us. But yeah, all right. No Quarter Gaming R3 going to be the support match. Going to be the Renata once again for Fortress Doors. So the entire bot lane getting run back for No Quarter Gaming here in game 3.
The Volibear getting banned, stuck into the Shadow Realm.
Deserved ban for the bear.
Piggy's going to have to come up with something else.
See if they let the Ornn through. I mean, we've seen Piggy kind of pop off on the Ornn as well tonight, of course, in game number 1.
Yeah, they've been able to get a lot of value out of it. And really just help Misfortune. She's a bit of a lane bully, so if she falls off, Aphelios is going to outscale. So that can help mitigate that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing is they could double down on how well Piggy's been performing here. Use the counter pick on them. Know they're going to win the top matchup. And either go for a 4-1 composition or something that can easily rotate into a 5-man composition where they're going to have a strong lead in the top for a bruiser.
I do kind of like the angle of giving Piggy the counter pick, and that is what they are going to go for. So Orianna for Protide once again. Had a pretty solid performance on the Orianna in that previous game. Lots of picks just getting, doubled up on for No Quarter Gaming here. I mean, they won the previous game, so I don't see why not, right? If it works, then why not run it back? But this time the Panthers, they have taken away the Jarvan, of course, and they have the Braum as well that can be quite a good answer. Into
the Xerath is gone too, which has been a pretty big key to their success. Even when they were losing, they were able to clear out a lot of waves and stop some of the damage that No Quarter Gaming was doing.
Okay, the Cho'Gath for Pimp Squid here. How do we feel about the Cho'Gath as a blind pick, Ebba?
I don't like it.
Not a fan, huh?
Not a big fan because I have to ask here, what does it do for the team? Does it answer any potential split push that no quarter game has had a lot of success with? Not really. Does it help Braum and Jarvan a whole lot? Well, they already have a lot of CC, but it does give them more of a
Mm.
front line. But they also have Braum, and I think there's other tanks that could just do what they want better.
Yeah, yeah, you kind of already have the Braum to be blocking, nature grasping and things like that. But maybe the Cho'Gath they just feel like is a bit of a comfort pick for Pimp Squid. Maybe it's just something that we feel that Pimp Squid can be on and play
Comfort is
safely
king.
and not fall too far behind. Let me see if this is a Pimp Squid specialty. No, oh, and you know what I just learned actually, Ebba, is that Pimp Squid is in fact a support player, not a top laner.
Oh.
So that kind of does explain some things, I think.
Top
Maybe the
lane is the
Nico.
counter lane matchup. Oh.
Yeah. So that a little bit more understandable that we've been losing out in that 1v1 so consistently if we don't actually play top lane that much. Nico for Dash, Gnar on R5 for Piggy into the Cho'Gath. Thoughts?
Well, it's pretty interesting because Maokai and Renata have a lot of displacement effects, and so does Orianna. So if you can get them towards the wall, Nara can really capitalize that. Can potentially split push if they want, or it can just be kind of a menace in his own right. I like it. And you also have a decent enough range versus Cho'Gath.
Yeah. Should be able to hop away from any ruptures, right? Assuming you're not silenced. Seems
Not
like a
silenced,
matchup
yeah.
that Gnar is going to be relatively comfortable in.
Well, and the other thing is Cho'Gath gets big, so he's going to have a big hitbox. So you can just jump over him, so it's harder to miss. Always a weird flex, but a flex.
Could look pretty funny, yeah. I have to keep an eye out for that later on. Once Cho'Gath does grow to a little bit of a more significant size, as he does often tend to do. But yeah, I mean, I do think that our compositions here for Game 3 are pretty similar, honestly. This is probably the most mirrored the most even draft I want to say that we've had all night. It's kind of team fight for both sides. We've got a good amount of engage for both sides, maybe a little bit of an edge there for the Panthers. And we've got, reasonably good scaling and not like crazy scaling, but like reasonably good on both sides as well.
Yeah, I mean, last draft is also pretty even in its own way, but this is kind of like, I want to say almost the most fair draft between the both, if that makes sense.
I feel like we're kind of trying to say the same thing. Yeah. I mean, my kind of thing was like both of these compositions are looking to do something very similar, right? They're trying to set up their AD carry for success. For the Panthers, all about Aphelios, right? You got your front line, you got your CC, you hit him with that, and then you let Aphelios do his 200 years thing. That's kind of the game plan. And for the other side, for No Quarter Gaming, you got the Misfortune, the bullet time, like we were already discussing from the previous game that Muzzra was playing the Misfortune, where, a lot of the team fights do come down to getting the MF in a good position where she can get a high value bullet time. So that for, in that sense, that the compositions are matched in a way.
That's pretty true. Of course, Misfortune's going to have a little bit better of an early game versus Aphelios, but Aphelios will have a later game. We haven't been getting there to a late game. It's all been mid-game victories, which makes things a little bit more awkward for Cho'Gath as well. But both junglers like, hey, I'll go in, we'll start the fight. The supports will help enable whatever's going on or prevent stuff as well. And then, everyone else is like artillery or other complements to the team, wave clear, etc. It'll be exciting.
It definitely will be. I think we have the potential to see some really big highlight plays in this one. I'm hoping that the teams can play things out pretty evenly through the early game so we get some nice big explosive team fights in that mid game. That is going to be my ambition for this Game 3. But it kind of does come down at this point a lot to like team morale, right? And mojo and like momentum and these kind of intangible things where, you're up against it now for both of these teams on their last life in playoffs in season 16. It's win now or your season is over. So a lot of the game does become mental, I think, at this point. Like who can handle the pressure best? Who can perform in these high stakes situations and, remember their win conditions and play things out appropriately and communicate with their team effectively and all of these things, get more difficult in situations like this.
Yeah, it's effectively a best of one right now, and reaction times are super important here. Bailout is only successful if you press it before they're dead.
Right.
There's no
Yep.
post revive here that no one's playing Akshan. And then Braum, of course, if he's not able to get that shield up right away for bullet time, also not going to get as much value for his champion.
Well, what are you thinking? I mean, we've discussed the drafts pretty even this time around. At least for me personally, I don't really see a clear advantage for one side or the other just in terms of draft. And now it's no quarter gaming. The underdogs coming in tonight with the momentum coming off of that decisive game 2 win. Do you think that's going to be enough to carry them through, ABBA? Or are the Panthers going to be able to come back?
I am favoring no quarter gaming in this one, not because of their performance last time or whatnot, because we both know both teams can play very strong or very weak. Nar, I think, is going to win to the top side just because they've been outperforming, and I think they have a good matchup here. And Misfortune is going to be a little bit stronger versus Aphelios is going to be able to harass him potentially a little bit more. That Q gives you just enough range to basically even harass Caitlyn's auto attack range, which is effectively what Aphelios is with his first 50 bullets. So those matchups pretty favorable, and Oriana is going to be able to space out Nico for the most part, which could also make things super safe and give them a little bit of an edge for that earlier part of the laning phase here. So with the lane advantages, I think that's going to be enough for no quarter gaming to do the plays that they need.
All righty. Expecting some winning lanes here from No Quarter Gaming to carry them through those early stages and get them set up in the mid game for some big team fight wins, get them into that next round of the knockout stage. The Poisonous Panthers coming in strong at the beginning of the night, able to find that big win. Dash with that big performance on the Xerath, on the Nico this time around. A little bit of a different role for the mid laner. See how they're going to be able to perform. It's worth mentioning as well. This is, Poisonous Panthers already been upset once in the postseason. The reason they're even in this lower bracket to begin with is because they lost out to the 5th seed, Paradox Emerald, in the first round of playoffs. So in danger of getting upset a second time here back to back and just having their run end right as it was getting started. Would obviously be a huge win, though, for No Quarter Gaming. Only one team can move on, guys. And it's time to find out which one of these teams it's going to be. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Style Fans. One more time on the Rift tonight for both of these teams. Poisonous Panthers now back over to the blue side. And we do have No Quarter Gaming over here now on the red. Pretty calm level 1 once again as the Panthers kind of looking for something, but not able to find it.
Getting caught out on that word there. We can see all the pings from No Quarter Gaming. Be like, they're there!
Yeah, we're able to back away, of course, in time. Lose out on too much.
It looks like Pimp Squid's going for the Arcane Comet strategy.
Interesting. Yeah, the Arcane Comet Cho'Gath.
Oh, no.
That's feeling Aurelor in trouble.
No.
Really getting sandwiched in now. Ignite comes down. That's going to be the kill. First blood over to Protide. No Quarter Gaming on the board very early on.
Oh, bro.
That hurt you, huh, Abba?
That's not the Fjord. That's the enemy team. He's pining for the fjords.
That's not where he wasn't going in the right direction.
Nope.
He didn't find him.
Nope, didn't find him.
Just a gray screen. But certainly it's not over just yet. You know, early kill onto the Orianna is certainly not great for the Panthers in this game, but still far from over.
There's always time to throw in League of Legends.
There's always that's what you always say, right, Abba?
Yeah, always time. I've seen people lose with a 14K gold lead.
So now we were pretty impressed with DMFK's Jarvan the Fourth in the previous game, right? Now we get to see Clay on the pick. So it's a little bit different than what Clay's preferred archetype of champion usually is, right? Who likes to go for the Udyrs, the Hekarims, the power farmers of the world. Jarvan is not that, but we have gone for the 3 camp, the buff grunt buff angle for Clay, and now we're going to consider a gank as we move into the bot side river.
Yep,
spotting Maokai on his Raptor camp.
Yep, and they're playing a cross map, so there's gonna be desync between the junglers here, and it looks like No Quarter Gaming recognizes a possibility and they walk away. So bad news for the Panthers there.
But Clay walking over a ward as well.
Wow,
right there, outside of that line brush. We're going to go in for a little bit of a trade here. We'll turn mini, though. Piggy actually in trouble. Pimp Squid almost getting some revenge for those previous 2 games. We'll get the flash off of the NQG top laner.
Vorpal spikes pretty potent. If he was able to get that knock up there, that would have been a kill, but was not quite there. Almost. Very close.
And Piggy maybe just a little bit too big for his boomerangs there. Expecting to be mega for a little bit longer, perhaps, or just expecting to not be under so much threat after turning mini. But clearly was the case.
Underestimated the damage that was all going to be in that Arcane Comet, which is pretty typical, to be fair, but not this time. Vorpal spikes a lot, and it gets you wave clear as well, which really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing the push in bot lane right now for the Panthers. Gnar, of course, getting the shove in that top side against the Cho'Gath.
Yep, getting a little bit more harassed here as well. Ooh, there's the Gravitas.
The blows, they're concussing. Not enough, though. Renata, with the handshake, gets to safety.
Oh, we might get a kill here. They're low on HP and mana.
And Clay is here. Clay can look for a play. We'll go for the EQ. Will not find the kill, though. That was both Jarvan and Orianna using the flash off screen there. Close call, but nobody going down.
Oh!
Flashing for the Tangle Barbs, and he will find a dash. Can he get away from the turret, though? He cannot.
Oh, it's an execute.
So it's an execute, though.
This is fun because it's almost as long as for them to walk back and press the B button. It might actually have been faster for them to die there. And it forces the teleport here. They have it in response. If they're not able to push it here, it'll be a good TP advantage. Look at that flash there that was forced out in the bot side.
Fortress Door able to get away from that one. But yeah, Dash will invest the TP as well to get back into the lane. I feel like the Nico could have pretty comfortably held on to the teleport there, considering that, you know, had gotten the wave all the way pushed in before going 1-for-1. But
we'll just more than a wave, too. Like, that's what makes it really safe. They have a pretty big spike here with Lost Chapter and the boots as well, and Jones is going to be pretty important. for the mobility, just to be able to match the strut speed from Missouri.
That is a good shout for sure. It's another nice little tangle barb there in the mid lane from Dash. The skill shot accuracy clearly translating very comfortably from the Xerath to the Nico.
First feast stack kind of going onto Pimp Squid there. Live by the feast, die by the famine.
Yep. It's a nice little tasty cannon minion. A bit of an appetizer for the Cho'Gath.
Can't miss that farm.
You don't want to miss those, that's for sure. Oh, Rupture gets Gnar out of the hop. Piggy pretty close to the turret, though. Will be okay.
Yeah. The hyper speed gonna be enough to get him out there. The hyperactivity, there we go.
Exactly right. Do have access to the level 6 now for Piggy, so this top matchup now could start to get a little bit more contentious. But so far, Pimp Squid been handling that top lane quite nicely.
Yeah. Jones is getting some trades pressured in. There's a potential for a freeze there.
Yep, 3v2 in the bottom lane. Jarvan going to look for this play. Muzra and Fortress on their way out. Muzra able to flash away from the EQ. Will be able to stay safe. Clay, just a small amount of damage on the way out there.
And the other jungler is going to be nearby after this camp gets cleared, making any dragon play or push dangerous for them. No one's hit level 6 here as well. But
okay, Piggy, once again, the hop in. Sidestep, not there for the Rupture, though. The knockup comes through. Feast available, and that's going to be the Gnar. There is the main course for Pimp Squid, and that is going to be Cho'Gath on the board.
It was small. It's a Yordle. It's probably more of an appetizer at this stage.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's like, so the first appetizer was like maybe a cheese and cracker situation, and then the Gnar was maybe more of like a chicken wing appetizer or something like that.
Yeah,
you know, there's a little bit more going on there, but it's still not a full meal. I agree.
Yeah, Cannon Minion was a nice, like little warm up to get the belly and all.
Yeah.
And then Gnar's gonna be the next thing here. It's gonna be pretty difficult for the red side here, No Quarter Gaming, as it looks like Juki Jones has a pretty decent freeze setup if they want to do any sort of play, which makes the back timer difficult. And despite having that assist, they're down gold right now on their AD carry in Mozara versus Juki Jones. Jonesy Jukes. Yeah.
That is pretty significant CS difference in favor of the Aphelios right now. Really nice position of the minion wave at the moment as well. Going to be able to hold that, it looks like, toward his own turret.
Yeah, and clear the way. And clear the ward, I should say.
Yeah.
Which is also very important, the control ward.
There's
also a level lead on Pimp Squid, which is something we have not seen at this stage in the set. Right.
Yeah, Pimp Squid having a much better Game 3 here compared to the previous 2 outings for this player. Piggy once again going to look aggressively. This time the jungler is here. Nature will grasp the Cho'Gath just barely. We do get in range for the Twisted Advance thanks to the flash coming out from DMFK, but we do find the Rupture there onto 2. The wall, it's not in range. We will flash though for the Gnar, and Piggy will find the kill in the end. They did have to work for it though. Pimp Squid didn't go down easy.
Yeah, had to flash, had to use multiple ultimates there and get a turret shot. Might make going for this Baron a little bit more tricky, but they do have the numbers advantage for sure.
Yeah, and ultimately it will be Dash not sticking around to contest, but also it will be the side of No Quarter Gaming not electing to actually start up that objective just yet, as now Jonesy has shoved in the bot lane, so Muzra are going to be able to pick up some of this underneath the turret, but still getting pressured, honestly, quite a bit by Jonesy on this Aphelios. The bullet time will actually just come out, and that will get the flash from the Aphelios, which he probably didn't have to use because he had a Braum with a door that was kind of right there. But better safe than sorry, I suppose.
It also is pretty good at just clearing waves here as well. Oh,
the Gravitum root into the follow-up auto attack, and that's going to be number 1 for the Aphelios this game. Jonesy really been putting on the pressure down there and finally does get paid for it.
Yeah, able to get that. It's always deceptive when you land that Q with your sniper gun there. Able to get that free auto off, and when you have your crescendum here as well. Oh no,
getting pushed entirely off of that tier 1 turret, and now Piggy, in trouble in the top lane as well. Jumping forward once again to his detriment. Perhaps it will get destroyed before he can turn Mega. So now we have the Poisonous Panthers winning out across the map in game number 3. Aurelor dashing away from that handshake. Will get towards safety, but the hostile takeover will come out. Glacial Fisher only connecting on to the support, but will push both of them back, and out to Felios, stepping back forward. The door gets thrown in their face, but the handshake gets Jonesy underneath the turret, and somehow both the Misfortune and the Renata managed to survive. Jonesy just slightly overstepping at the last moment there, and now No Quarter Gaming able to tie things up in the bot lane.
Oh my goodness, bailout there was so crucial for that. Just overextending, something we've seen that Poisonous Panthers do a number of times throughout the set, but they've been usually able to bounce back. They're up 2,000 gold right now into the laning phase, which is a pretty good advantage to have, especially with their mid laner having a good chunk of that gold here as well. Up over 1.2k, so a lot of the advantage straight up on them into the mid lane. But we've seen what Muzzra's been able to do on Misfortune here and create openings for their team. And they have a lot of enablers on both sides. So this is going to be very crucial with this fight coming up here as well. We're seeing a support roam. They're going to be down numbers on Poisonous Panthers. So Quarters might be able to get this Rift Herald.
Yeah, it is, in fact, going to be a 4v4, assuming that Nico can move over here, as the Rift Herald does get started up by No Quarter Gaming. So, the rotation is coming through from Nico on the right-hand side of this fight. Nature's Grasp going to come out. Engage initially onto the Cho'Gath. Aurelor able to block some of that, but no, Jarvan stepping forward in front of his Braum, and is going to immediately get taken down. In comes Dash from the side with the Pop Blossom, but it might be a little bit too late. They're going to be able to trade back onto the Orianna as Cho'Gath utilizing the ultimate to get that kill, but now Nico in trouble. One more auto attack will come through. Shot down over to the Renata. Pimp Squid and Aurelor now trying to back out of this fight, trying to get back towards their own jungle. Pimp Squid able to get that last stack of the concussive blows down for the disengage, but it is No Quarter Gaming 2-1 in the top side skirmish, picking up the neutral as well.
The early roam coming out of Fortress Door was really the key to getting this down. It forced out a late roam here from the enemy bot side from Poisonous Panthers, so Aurelor was not able to get that roam quite in time to get those stacks. Of course, Pimp Squid was able to get a fee stack, which is pretty great. Unfortunately, they didn't have it open to potentially steal the Rift Herald. So if he dies here,
have it for this particular engagement. We'll find the Rupture onto Piggy. We'll push the Gnar back, but Maokai might have enough damage just by himself here. Maybe not. Already used the Twisted Advance. So in fact, it will be the Cho'Gath able to wander back underneath the tier 1 to safety.
Oh, Winions, please.
I think he's okay. I think he lives, right?
It's so close, though.
That was close. That was very close.
Oh.
Dragon 2, 20 seconds, Abba.
Mm-hmm.
Control over the area for the Panthers at the moment would be their second dragon.
Yep, it'll be Chemtech. Don't look at the counter. Riot has not fixed that in several patches.
Going in. The Winter's Bite, not quite going to be latching on, not sinking the teeth in there, was Aurelor. Fortress Door able to get away from that one. But Vision control over the area, pretty severe at the moment in favor of the Panthers. I'm able to deny that blast. Kona as well. They do have push in the bot lane. Mid-wave, pretty even at the moment.
Yeah,
very tense right now.
Red side, but it'll be a very slow push.
Clay's going to be forced to back available. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so the Panthers just feeling like they weren't really in position there. Just going to give it up.
Yep. This is a TP that's getting canceled, though, which is a pretty major W. I wonder if this proxy is going to pay off and if they'll get the top tower. No, it's going to force out another. A good trade.
All right. So 2 TPs used, but they did get the dragon. So No Quarter Gaming probably going to call Worth on that.
Yeah, it's going to make some of these future macro plays for the next 3 to 4 minutes a little bit more difficult here. But it looks like they found a gank angle here in this 3v3.
Jarvan in position for the counter gank, though. Oh, who's going to make the first move? Jonesy stepping forward aggressively. That will trigger the Maokai to go in with the Nature's Grasp, but in comes Aurelor to try and deny some of this damage from coming out. TMFK, Twisted Advance back onto support. Trying to play this one front to back. They will be able to take down the Braum first. Moonlight Vigil only onto the Maokai, and now Jonesy trapped in the alcove. Doesn't have the ultimate left to get back onto the Misfortune. The bullseye was going to get buzzed, but just barely. It's going to be Dash getting in range for the Pop Blossom. Takes out the enemy AD carry. And now Clay winning out in the 1v1 against the Maokai. One more auto attack will be the double kill over to Nico. Dash making it a 3 for 2 in the bot lane.
Well played there. We know BSN RN has been able to get a lot of value out of this. That teleport, very clutch. Jukes was not able to stand out of the way here. They stood in front of their Braum. Started the fight, a winning fight, but nonetheless, that does be a little bit dangerous when you're in front of your shield rather than behind it. Can't help you as much. But it was a good utilization of the TP advantage to get that victory here. We were very close, neck and neck in kills and gold, which is a rare occurrence for this set, come to think of it. But they have a gold lead. Poisonous Panthers has been able to utilize a gold lead pretty effectively, but it has slipped in the past, so it's not over.
Well, it was a really nice teleport play from Dash, as you mentioned. You know, immediately capitalizing on what they knew was a Summoner Spell advantage after just seeing No Quarter Gaming utilize both of those teleports to try and defend the bot tier 1, or the top tier 1, rather.
Yep, and it got them a tower into the bot side here as well. And because of that fight, it was super awkward for them to use Rift Herald. They almost missed it if that death timer was longer.
Ooh, yeah.
That would have been really bad for them. They're still able to use it in the jungle, so it probably would have been fine, but it would not have been as great.
Yeah. Of course, the Herald was too late to get turret plates anyways, so was always going to have some reduced value regardless, but still nice to actually be able to get the summon off and not have it just disappear from the inventory or anything like that.
Ooh, that's an epic monster with the feast there.
Ooh, that
even
does
with the
count.
summon, so that's pretty nice there. It doesn't count as a minion. Very good value for the feast. Rift Herald 2 can be stronger than Rift Herald 1. You won't get as much gold typically out of it because of the plating, but you can create a lot more pressure onto the enemy team if you're able to take some of these turrets as well, because you can do more damage and get potential more charges out of it.
All right. Well, we've got a very interesting situation here. We're looking for Protide between the turrets. Protide trapped in the Cataclysm, already used the flash, can't escape. Piggy AI here to try and punish. We'll have to back away. We'll not get caught up by the Pop Blossom, but it looks like Clay will be able to make it out to safety. Maokai and Renata moving over to try and collapse, and Nico maybe a little bit overstaying here. Dash, sidestep on the wall, but gonna flash directly into the Nature Grasping, and Dash will get taken out. They're gonna give the kill over to Gnar. Piggy picks it up.
He lived for way too long right there, able to juke things out, delay things just enough for Juki Jones to live. Of course, the wave is going to be cleared pretty fast, but they do have some decent wave clear with them. So the split push coming out of Pimp Squid, which has not happened this set, but has been pretty effective getting a lot of TPs out, and potentially this turret, or at least half of it right now for the team to claim later when Dragon's coming up if they want to be pushing for it, or do a split push for when Baron's going to be coming up in the next minute and 30 seconds. This mid tower is going to be pretty important, especially with the priority it gives.
Okay, so we're going to be doing Shirley on spawn, it appears, for the side of the Poisonous Panthers. Should be able to lock that one away. Enemy jungler.
No Quarter Gaming, I believe, is red side.
Yeah, or the No Quarter Gaming. Yes, I misspoke there. Excuse me. Pimp Squid.
Feast is online. Protide.
Yeah. Can flash as well for the Cho'Gath. Gonna go in and look for it, and does get in range. Chomps down on that Orianna. What course is Orianna in our Cho'Gath's meal? Is Orianna
I'm gonna go with the drink, right? Because she's got those nice balls, like a chalice or something.
Okay.
Got to quench the thirst for the fans.
We're getting closer and closer for Pimp Squid to the 5-course deluxe angle, as Aurelior will be able to stand beside his jungler, get away from that Bramble Smash. Grass will come out, though. That's going to be the Braum flashing away, saying, oh, Jarvan, I'm sorry, you're going to have to take the fall for this one. And Clay will do exactly that. Number 2 of the game for Muzra on the Misfortune. And no jungler for the Panthers means this should be another neutral. Over to No Quarter Gaming, just able to pick up that second Rift Herald a moment ago in Muzra's pockets, incidentally.
Hex Dragon. Hextech Dragon is very important. You're able to get a lot of value from it. Of course, turrets were traded, so it was not completely free. They still have a Rift Herald to potentially punish where the enemy might not be, to try and recuperate some of the advantage that they had. But nonetheless, a good trade by both sides. Still, of course, favoring Poisonous Panthers, who are up 4,400 gold roughly right now.
Yeah, they are in a pretty good spot, all things considered. Their Cho'Gath is just getting larger and larger. And I think we should have a Pimp Squid appreciation moment here. Laning phase much, much better than in games number 1 and 2, and has been getting some very effective side laning done as well. Only 1 death so far this whole game for the Cho'Gath, and I'm really hoping I didn't just curse him.
Yeah, caster's curse here. He's got 9 stacks right now, too. 5 of them are minions. So he's still got more minion stacks he can get, and he's gotten 3 champion, which is pretty good for early on with Cho'Gath. It's kind of awkward to get that time just right.
Maybe it was a comfort pick that that did come in here for Pimpsquid. Just feeling really confident on the Cho'Gath. I'm not really sure.
The 5D chess play here was to lose game 2 to lull them into a false sense of security for plays like this.
Look at this. Pimpsquid 2 levels up right now. Oh, Piggy just ticking over to 13, actually. He's going to get the Gnar into the wall, but doesn't really have too much damage into this Cho'Gath. Pimpsquid is just kind of shrugging it off. Doesn't really seem to mind too much.
Just making it a little bit more hungry.
Working up an appetite. And now we have a mini Gnar. Piggy, oh, you just jumped in again. And now he doesn't have the hop. He will have to flash away from that rupture to survive as the spectator camera cut away at a really awkward time. But the Gnar will be okay. Flash for the handshake. Fortress Door only finding it onto Clay. Jarvan not the desired target. We'll get the charge into the tier 2. DMFK now committing the Nature's Grass. The bullet time on top, but the door is relatively good in position. And now it's going to be Clay jumping onto the marksman. But Misfortune flashing out of that Cataclysm to stay alive. Fortress Door now under fire. It's Jonesy able to get the first kill of this fight. Sniper rifle not quite going to connect that shot. And it will be now the Orianna Protod able to flash away towards safety. Just the 1 kill over to the Poisonous Panthers in exchange for that mid-tier 1.
Yeah, and they weren't able to get the second crash there as well. The auto was able to get it there as well from Clay, which is really cleanly done. Jonesy almost got several kills there, but had to split their focus with who is nearest and safest to auto attack.
Oh dear, Muzra is not going to survive that. Just walked into a Nico and will go down, as will the Baron. They did not, unfortunately, manage to get that feast stack for Pimpsquid, but they did manage to get the Baron buff on all 5, and I imagine they're going to be pretty happy with that outcome.
They're going to be very happy with that. And they still have all their towers but 1, except for the 1 in mid, so it's going to be pretty easy for them to push out with a tower advantage and level advantages in spot. That gives you a straight-up minion buff, so they take less damage and do a little bit more to minions, making it even easier to push out with the Baron buff, where you get to make them walk faster and everything else you already know about Baron.
Yeah. And I'm very happy, but also a little bit surprised, honestly, with how this game has been playing out. It's been like a slow grind for Poisonous Panthers. It seems like they've just been gradually building up their advantage slowly over the course of the game. You know, you were expecting, Abba, right from Champion Select, that these were actually going to be some winning lanes for No Quarter Gaming, but that has not proven to be the case. You know, Piggy, this time around, for the first time tonight, has kind of been getting gapped in that top lane by Pimpsquid. And the bot lane has been very, very convincing for the Poisonous Panthers as well here in game number 3. And, you know, with those side lanes, you know, being so firmly under their control, they've just been able to just kind of slowly play the map and stack up more advantages.
And the interesting thing here is there was an early death here too by Braum.
That's true. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. So them pushing that out. Oh, cast.
Fisher connecting onto the Renata. Fortress Door in trouble. No flash. Will get dunked by Clay, who will pick up the last hit as well. Number 2 for the Jarvan. Number 13 for the Panthers. As DMFK now.
A very poorly timed death here with Dragon happening in 30 seconds here. So this could deny Soul Point. It is a support, but that is a numbers advantage and pretty crucial with Bailout and the anti-engage that they provide from Fortress Door here.
Yeah, the Renata, a big part of this composition, right? And not having your support also means that you can't put down wards. Which does make retaking control over parts of the map very, very difficult.
Yeah, they have 3 charges, so they certainly could have been able to play stuff. This is going to force a teleport out, though, and they lost the mid tower. A lot of pressures being created.
Yeah, clearly the call here for No Quarter Gaming is, oh, that's a big Gnar into the wall. Gets a couple, including the Aphelios. Jonesy in a lot of danger, but in comes Nico with a huge Pop Blossom, and Aphelios lived for so long. Got out so much damage before he finally gets taken down on the other side of the fight. Clay in the 1v2 winning out. Takes down Muzra's Misfortune, and it will be a wipe for the Poisonous Panthers. 5 for 2 in the team fight, and they will get their second dragon on top.
Yeah, and more stacks. We're up to 11 stacks as well. Ooh, this is such good news for Poisonous Panthers. Of course, they're losing out on some Baron buffs because it's timed out by now. But whoop-de-doo, they got an ace here. They're going to be able to clear out several towers, get some auto attacks in. And the second dragon, it delays Soul Point. This is really good news for them.
Absolutely. Now Hextech Soul, anybody's to claim. We are all tied up 2 dragons apiece. Still 2.5 minutes to wait until another Baron does grace us with its presence. But, you know, it's the gold lead now, 10,000 for the Panthers. And they should, I mean, we've seen already the formula for their success, you know, as they were able to gain so much vision control and just choke No Quarter Gaming kind of out of that fight. You know, they were able to force their way in, and it was a pretty good engage from Piggy, but ultimately there was just too much control, it seemed, over the area for the Panthers. You know, Dash was able to get in there with a big flank on the Nico and really kind of decided the fight from that point.
Here's the real key to this. They're not playing Unga Bunga League right now. They're actually playing way more discipline than they did in Game 1 and Game 2, and they haven't thrown their lead that they've collected like they did in Game 1, and then really never got a good foothold into Game 2. They've been very consistent and knowing exactly how they want to play things out. And it's exactly what you want to be seeing out of your team. I think if they could, obviously, with the 9,000 gold lead that they have, and most of it is spent, just force things here.
Oh, handshake. Fortress door, though, I think might be the one in trouble. Just going to get locked up by the pop-up. Good bullet time, though. And Aurelior locked up, CC'd. Couldn't really get the door down to block too much of that. Flashing forward now for the Glacial Fisher. Going to get the knock up, but Maokai and Gnar already into their base. Pretty safe in that position. Not much of a minion wave to work with. Big shockwave from Protide. Gets 3. Kill onto Jonesy. 4v4 now in the mid lane. Siege looks like may continue, but Dash, very low health bar, just gonna get flashed on by Protide, barely going to survive the flash forward for Piggy, but he can't get range. The boulder does come from long range. Piggy able to get the kill onto the enemy mid laner. Now Pimp Squid extended very far forward, get a flash into the base to munch on Protide. Wanted another sip of that drink, I guess, but Cho'Gath's gonna give over a shutdown in trade for that one. So now maybe a little bit of Unga Bunga action coming out from the Panthers, perhaps, Mr. Trombone.
Yeah, the boulder is no longer conflicted about fighting a little child. Just getting that snipe on Nico, they split the difference the first time, and they went, no, you are here, and just got him. Very well played. It looked pretty good that they were going to be able to force that fight out, but they were... The flash from Jukesy Jones trying to catch them out from the bullet time, it seemed so good and so great, but they were out of position and their team couldn't follow up. They got caught out and there was a lot of their damage just gone, which changed that fight.
Not able to juke much in that scenario, unfortunately, for the Panthers AD carry. And now not going to have those summoner spells for this Baron fight that could potentially be ensuing. Of course, we don't really have any summoner spells on the other side either. No Quarter Gaming also severely lacking in that department.
There's a lot of ultimates, though.
That is true.
10 ultimates on the building.
So it's hard to keep control over the area for No Quarter Gaming because they're so... Oh, that's going to be Nico snuck up with the... They didn't count their minions, Abba! And Muzra is going to pay for that one.
Cheeky play. Cheeky play. Oh.
Just Nico things.
Just Nico. Teehee.
Able to get in there. Yeah. Finds the Pop Blossom once again. 5v4 now. Onto the Baron we go for the Poisonous Panthers. Look at how big this Cho'Gath is. This guy is just absolutely monstrous at this point. Just walking at Maokai, and Maokai just has to leave. DMFK is like, well, I can't go through that. So
he needs some fiber.
He needs some what?
You need some fiber, and, you know, DMFK is really high in that with all that tree bark, the cellulose.
Ooh, true. So what does that make the Maokai? Is like the protein bar or something? How have we not found
he's more like the apple or whatnot, like the fruit and veggies that go with it.
So by process of elimination, then is Muzra the main course?
I think Muzra's the main course. We were talking about how AD carry is super important on these fights, so they're like the main meat and potatoes of the team. Yeah,
fair enough then. And maybe Fortress Door just the dessert then that you would have afterwards. As We'll see what the Cho'Gath wants, what he's hungry for in this scenario. The door will be put up, but it's going to be not up for much longer, as now it's Piggy getting knocked up by the Rupture, not able to finish off that Brahmin. Look at Dash in the enemy base. Nico looking to trade this Nexus for a Hextech Dragon. That's going to be pretty worthwhile, and the Panthers just have to keep him here. They just have to stop the bases. The Nexus turrets are already falling, and look at Jonesy able to stay so safe far away from the main bulk of this fight, and it's Pimp Squid just standing in the middle of it all, just preventing anybody from resetting, just munching down on the entirety of No Quarter Gaming. The Nexus turrets are down. Muzra is going to try his absolute hardest to try and put on a last stand at the Nexus, but the Nexus will fall, and the season, tragically for No Quarter Gaming, is over as the Poisonous Panthers move on to the next round in the knockout stage.
Oh my goodness, the split push potential coming out of BSN. So well played there, and we just watched the support go with them, and they were able to clear things up that way. And then, of course, Cho'Gath being able to stop some of those back, just walked past Misfortune. They went, no, I can't back here, and ended up securing the game for him. Congrats, Poisonous Panthers, for taking this big fat W and proceeding and not getting eliminated.
Yeah, really huge for them. Did turn into a very, very close series, but in the end, it kind of came full circle, didn't it? It was kind of how the Poisonous Panthers got started tonight, was Dash on fire on that Xerath, right? Just dialing in those skill shots, carrying the team so heavily in terms of damage in that first game. And a little bit of a rougher game 2 performance from Dash, but then in the end, it was Dash on this Nico, you know, not only playing the fights out very well, able to find multiple catches, multiple big engages with the Pop Blossoms, but the call at the end, the 5-head call to realize that the entirety of No Quarter Gaming are going to be wanting to contest for the Dragon, and their base is already vulnerable. So Nico just splitting off into that top side, ending the game.
Yeah.
Very smart call.
Dragon is a pretty good distraction for a lot,
especially if it's a Hextech Soul, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's Soul Point, I think. No,
well, it wasn't but like it was eventually going to be a Hextech Soul. This is like what they were ultimately fighting for, assuming the game did go on, is what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to go on. I think they just needed to give up No Quarter Gaming on that Dragon. They were behind too much gold. They had won some fights, but that's just because Poisonous Panthers just kind of was overconfident, and I was there with them being overconfident. But still, very well played. If they're going to win a fight, it was going to be in the jungle. They have a good AoEs with Gnar.
Yeah, and the Maokai as well, and the Shockwave as well to follow up. Definitely those choke points in the jungle are kind of their ideal battlegrounds, you know, with a composition like this. But hindsight 2020, right? And I'm sure if No Quarter Gaming could have that play back, then they would, in fact, not go for the Dragon. They would defend their base instead. But that is not how things work in League of Legends. There are no redos. There are no takes backsies.
Zillion does not exist IRL.
Very true. Very true. And it will be the Poisonous Panthers taking the 2-1 tonight, moving on to the next round. Do we know their opponent yet?
I was just about to ask you that.
It is going to be second seed Mythic Competitive that they will be going up against in the next round. A tough battle, to be sure.
Mythic is pretty strong throughout the series whenever it casts their game, so it will be an exciting match. Do we have a date for it? So
we do not have a date for that one, I don't believe, just yet. We do have a match that is scheduled for tomorrow. That is going to be Chaotic Solar versus Alberta Beef, 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Looks like you are going to be on for that one once again, Appa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be that's stream. That's Division number 1, Chaotic Solar, number 1 team in the league, going up against the number 2 team in the league, Alberta Beef. That is going to be an absolute banger matchup. I'm jealous of you guys getting to cast that one. I might have to tune into the stream so I can see the fireworks, but that should be really, really hype.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting matchup. I always love casting Chaotic Solar's streams. But that's tomorrow. We should do a little post-game analysis on this one. Obviously, in my opinion, I've been talking about it, is the overcommitting that Poisonous Panthers did pretty consistently game 1 and game 2, and then was more disciplined in game 3, which ultimately won them the set, was super important. And then the kind of like how game 2 really shaped the defensive options and the offensive options, being able to punish the enemy team, for their overextension was exactly what no quarter needed to do. And they did it so well into game two. It was
Yeah.
super hard to cheer for like one team. Like obviously, I want Poisonous Panthers to win because they got upset and they did so well in game one. But game two, like no quarters had such a good adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun to watch, and Piggy really putting on a show for us in that top
Yeah.
lane as well. Those first couple of games, multiple double kills in 1v2 situations for Piggy in this match. Ultimately, not enough to get the team over the line, though. And it is nice as well for the Poisonous Panthers getting the win since our buddy Chaos is on the roster, right? So we're maybe a little bit biased for that reason as well. But ultimately, both of these teams were very, very close to taking the match tonight. It will be the Poisonous Panthers who eke it out in the end, and they will move on to face a stronger opponent next week. But who do you think is your POG for game number 3 here? I mean, the Poisonous Panthers really was a team effort, and it really did come down, I think, for the most part, to the things that you have already been illustrating for us. They were able to stay controlled. They were able to play as a unit. They were coordinated in their plan of attack, and it really was a team effort. But if you did have to choose one player, who do you think you'd look towards?
I think it's got to be Nico. I want to say because of the sheer adaptation to the top side that they really, really helped that game out. Can't be underestimated there. But the flanks and the amount of damage that was pumped out into the mid side with the rotations and everything, it's just got to go to them. And of course, the split push that ended the game.
Yeah. I think Jonesy had a pretty good performance as well on the Aphelios. Maybe 1 or 2 missed positions in this game, but for the most part, I think played the fights out quite nicely. Aurelor was doing a great job on the Braum as well, holding up the door at the appropriate times, despite the fact that sometimes his teammates didn't necessarily want to be behind the door. But still, Braum doing a great job, I think, to try and stuff as many of those bullet times as possible. And Clay on a little bit of a different look this game, right? Not a champion that we usually see from this player, but I think had quite a nice performance on the Jarvan as well. And then, of course, Pimp
and in the set, they played pretty well consistently, creating good advantage. Clay was able to play pretty well throughout the entire set.
I agree. Well, yeah, so our game 1 MVP and game 3, I guess. We're looking towards Dash in both cases.
Yeah.
Really strong performance from this player, particularly at the beginning and at the end of tonight's action. I think worth shout out there, absolutely. Do you have any final thoughts on tonight's match, though, Abitron, before we close out the show for tonight?
I don't think I have anything super tight for this set.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a lot more to take on tomorrow as well. Once again, guys, that is Chaotic Solar versus Alberta Beef right here, twitch.tv/style esports, 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. I'm sure you're back to catch that action. But that will conclude our show for this evening. Congratulations again to the Poisonous Panthers. Commiserations to No Quarter Gaming. They have been a fun team to watch this season. I hope we do see them next season as well. That's going to do it from us for now. From myself, from Abbott Trombone here, from the entire team at Style Esports, thank you everybody so much for watching. We appreciate every single one of you. And we will see you tomorrow night for the continuation of the Style Esports Season 16 playoffs. Have a great night.